Three, two, one.
Well, a very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again, the fourth time this week here on Simple Racing Broadcast. It's been a massive week of racing, and the action continues here for your Friday night with the Legacy Australian Racing Championship returning to our screens. Can't believe it's been 3 weeks already since round 3, but we are back again for round 4 with this amazing set of supercars. And tonight comes to you from Winton Raceway, a famous old track here in Australia, which always produces some pretty interesting racing. We've been here not all that long ago, actually, if memory serves, in one of our other series, and good to be back once again this evening. My name is Jared Cole. I'm joined in the booth by Isaac Fogarty. And Isaac, Winton, old school supercars, it just seems right, doesn't it?
Yeah, good evening, Jared. Good evening, everybody. It absolutely does. I could not agree more. We were here just a few weeks ago, as you said, with ASR for their Gen 3 Supercar Championship. And look, it's a great track, Winton. Is it the best for Gen 3 supercars? I think the jury's still out on that one, but we know it's very, very good for these original car of the future supercars, the Holden Commodore and the Ford Falcon. So this will be some great racing. 3 races this evening is our traditional format, the 60, 80, 60k races. So 2 20-lappers and a 27-lap full reverse grid, which will be absolutely insane. Cannot wait for the chaos that does ensue. We saw that at Oran Park last time as well. Just a reminder of how crazy those reverse grid races can get. But I tell you what, it's going to be plenty of action tonight. 3 races last time out, Jared, and as always, 3 races really just provides plenty of action. And as the races go on, I feel like it gets more and more chaotic.
Yeah, it's what we've seen from LARC so far, and honestly, I'm not disappointed if we get more of the same, because it does make for some really, really good racing to watch. Qualifying just getting underway. We'll cut to that for you in just a moment. Let's take a look at the standings, though, coming into this after 3 rounds. This is how they're shaping up at the moment. Aaron Gilbert out in front, but his lead not quite as substantial as it was last time around. Brett Loxton only really 25 points away from being in the lead of this one, and only about 30 points back to Miguel Costa-Texeira in P3 for Proline Esports as well. Bray Loveridge a fair way further back, but he heads up a pretty tight little battle pack there with Matthew Day, Henry King and Daniel Stevens plus Colin Bruns all in the mix. And then another bit of a gap there back to Phil Manuel, who kind of is on his own towards the bottom of the top 10. James Clark sneaking in there at the end of that top 10, and you can see a bit of a variety of little groupings throughout the rest of that top 20. We've got plenty still to play for, of course. There's a lot of rounds left in this one for this season, but the battle out in front will be what we watch. Gilbert, Loxton and Costa-Texeira all pretty close at the moment. It's been good racing between them across the first few rounds, and I don't doubt that we're going to see more of that tonight.
Yeah, don't doubt that whatsoever. It's going to be some fantastic racing out there this evening. The times are looking pretty quick in practice, so these guys are going to fly around here. These races are probably going to feel like they're going to go past in the blink of an eye for the drivers behind the wheel of these things. And you've got to be very, very careful at Winton. It slows down on occasion, especially towards the top end of the circuit when you get under the tree. It's a very slow part of the circuit. We saw at ASR there was a number of incidents at the backside of the circuit, drivers going for moves and getting caught up and spinning around. And once there's a car or two that spins, especially if they're towards the front of the pack, everybody's going to get involved in that. So you need to be switched on, aware of what's happening, and this is going to be a very busy evening for these guys. I think these, well, two 60k races and 80k, so this 200k is going to feel like a very, very long race, but it will go by in the blink of an eye.
It absolutely will. We're starting to get the first of the qualifying times coming on through, and Aaron Gilbert was holding pole for just a moment there, but Brett Loxton has just crossed the line and set a lap that is almost a full 4/10 faster, or just over 3/10 actually. My maths is way off here this evening. Plenty of cars still out there and getting around the track. Craig Bell just coming across the line in a moment as well to set his first time and see where he ends up in the mix. Down in 13th at the moment. There's a fair bit of variety in times here, but we've seen this, haven't we, across the qualifying sessions so far. There really is a significant difference between the time set at the start of racing and those set towards the end of the session, as people do lay a bit more rubber down and just get tyres up to temp, get familiar with the track conditions. A little bit of debris scattered around the place already here tonight. But it's, yeah, look, I mean, Aaron Gilbert already coming in as he gets flicked around all over the place trying to get the power down. He's already looking for a fresh set of tyres. So it's not taking much to chew them by the look of things.
Yeah, look, it's a pretty high wear circuit, I feel, Winton. It's going to be hard on tyres this evening. No stop required in the first or the third race. Whether or not they need fuel, we were discussing earlier, just off air, with Henry King, as is well known in the broadcast, but he was saying that about 25 laps, and Jared, you were saying your maths is very similar, 25 laps on a full tank of fuel at full noise will be probably about the maximum lifespan you're going to get out of a tank of fuel here if you do push the whole time. And there's a 27 lap race, so if you can maybe back off a little bit, save some fuel here and there, you certainly could set yourself up to get 27 laps and just make it home, but you're going to get home by the smell of an oily rag. So it's going to be close in that second race, but I don't think we'll see anybody take tyres on that occasion. It will be literally just a splash and dash. So you're going to do 3 races this evening. You're pushing these tyres hard now and qualifying to find where that grip limit is. You certainly won't want to be doing that straight out of the box in any race, because you need to look after these tyres for the 20 laps. They will be screaming by the time they get to the checkered flag.
Yeah, they absolutely will be, and you're right, like it will be a splash and dash. There won't be time to do anything more than that. I was looking at the numbers earlier, and if my numbers are right, then what I'd be expecting this evening is that they'll probably only need 6 laps. 6 litres of fuel put in, maybe 9 if they want to be conservative. So you're talking, what, 5 or 6 seconds tops in the pit box. As Robbie Bradbury's picked up some damage somewhere. He's missing that front left one. Look at that.
Very broken car.
What has happened to Bradbury on this run? I've not seen a a stance like that on one of these cars in a while, so something's gone very, very wrong there. With the meatball, off to the pits he goes. Wow, what on earth has Bradbury done? I need to see if we can get a look at what's happened there, because that's...
Here we go.
His damage has already happened here, and look at him trying to get it pulled up into turn 1. It's
that's a strange one.
It is very odd. I wonder where that's happened.
He's had a massive bingo somewhere.
I'm just looking. He's just come out of the pits. I reckon he's been tagged on the way out of the pits and gone into the wall somewhere. Anyhow, I'll try and track that down.
Yeah, that could potentially be what's happened. He's got the car back to the pits now, though. Hasn't pulled over and jumped back. He's actually driven it back. So kudos to him for getting that car returned to the lane. We are approaching the halfway point of this session. Phil Manuel coming out of the final corner across the line. No, this is actually down towards turn 3. So he's already started the brand new lap, and we've got to sort of get used to the positioning of everything here at Winton through 4. And I remember when we were here for ASR not that long ago, Jared, you did a nice little track walk for us with an onboard, and I think every single corner at this circuit has some sort of different name that a sponsor has paid for to make sure they get there. It is a bit ridiculous. We're going to try and stick with numbers, but this is the tree, so under the tree, I believe that's turn 8, and then out towards the pit entry now goes Henry King. He's only 12th at the moment. He would like to be a bit higher than that, I'm sure. But there is still plenty of time left in this session to try and get something done. This is Thomas Hinds out of the final corner.
This is his first appearance in the season so far, and he was flicking me a message a little earlier on just to check that a couple of things were showing up properly on the broadcast for him as we were doing our pre-race setup, and he's not driven a supercar of any sort since sometime last year, apparently. So it's been a moment, and it will be
that would have been
interesting.
MC Motorsport, I believe.
It would have been. It would have been. You're right. So it's been a little while since he's been in a supercar, but he's obviously not lost any pace. He's straight up into third. So it'll be interesting to have him in the mix tonight and see what impact that might have on some of our already championship front runners.
Yeah, and I think he'll enjoy this car as well. A lot of the feedback we get from drivers of these cars is they come from the Gen 3 car, which is so much more loose and harder to drive. These things feel planted and glued to the ground. So I think he'll be liking the grip that these previous Gen supercars are providing. Scott Watts across the line to start might have just been completing a flying lap to get on the board. You'll see him 25th at the moment, and last of the drivers that have set the time so far. This is John Simpson down in 23rd, looking to improve. All red though next to his name this time by, and it doesn't look like this will be a better lap. Daniel Stevens has a personal best second sector. Dean Lacey has a personal best first sector, but no one really setting the timing screens alight at the moment. Stevens, can he improve on his position with that personal best second sector? No, he was going to stay in 8th place. Scott Watts improving. Matthew Deere also improving at the moment, and he's gone 2 personal best sectors here for Matthew Deere for Henry James Racing, so he's actually on a good lap here, sitting in 10th at the moment. Gavin Cox also looking to improve, but we'll stay with Matthew Deere here as he comes out down towards turn 10 and flick the car back to the
lock-up
left. To that's Northern BM corner. There's a bit of a lock-up, and now down the Falcon Straight to Advanced Petroleum corner.
I'm absolutely not using corner names tonight, Isaac. I just...
I'm going to have, by the end of the broadcast, everyone's going to know them, I think. We're going to teach everybody.
You know what? 2 reasons, right? 1, I don't want to have to refer to a track map all night to remember the names. 2, none of those sponsors are paying Simple any sponsorship money, so I'm not really super keen to give them the plug.
No, fair enough.
Speaking of sponsors, though, the LARC series has picked up a couple of sponsors between rounds, so very, very glad to welcome Press Tools Australia as well as Jinx Shifters to the broadcast in terms of sponsor logos around the place, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they might just be sneaking in a named round each later in the season as well. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out, but keep your eye out for that one at home, folks. Hope you're all enjoying your Friday evening, settling in for what should be a very, very good night of racing. We've only got just under 4 minutes left to go here for the qualifying session. Now, being a heat session, it will cut these drivers off immediately at the end of this qualifying time limit. So with a 1 minute 18 lap, you've really got to be out on your flying lap by, well, what, about 13 and a half minutes? If you haven't started your flying lap by then, you're not finishing it.
No. And you're not starting your out lap around now. You certainly won't be getting to do a flying lap at all. You won't make it in time. So if you're in the pits at this stage, like Gavin Cox, Matthew Deere, Mella, Simpson and Watts, you're probably not, because Simpson's just come out. He might get there, but everyone else certainly going to be closest. Thomas Hinton sitting third at the moment on the road. Miguel Costa Texera trying to push on. Mella doesn't look anywhere near interested in coming back out again. So 22nd maybe where
he did go in with a black flag for something, and I'm not sure if that was. I'm not sure if that was a speeding on pit entry or something like that. Wasn't damaged, but he's not come back out since. So maybe he's decided he's put the qualifying time in, and look, at a place like Winton, the difference between qualifying in 10th and qualifying in 20th is not that significant either. Anywhere in the mid-pack, you're at risk on that opening lap. As Costa Texera goes up to 5th with that lap, so just sneaking in there at the end.
Matthew Day's improving. Look at the times.
Yeah, he's looking like he might lift up a little. Gets across the line, jumps to 18, so goes ahead of Holton and Alessi. So not a bad way to finish that off. Phil Manuel's also flying along.
Good lap. Here we go, across the line.
Jump from 13th. What's he got up the sleeve? Hammond's just gone up to 3rd. That's an awesome lap and a great way to finish off. Manuel jumps up to 10th as well.
There you go. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, Michael Hammond, though, the surprise packet, gets into 3rd at the very, very last moment.
Yeah, that was a fantastic lap from Hammond. He's done very well. He's still 3/10 away. Brett Loxton is well clear of pretty much everybody else out there at the moment. You're not too far away from needing to set or to start your final flying lap to be able to get it done. And Matthew Day, this will probably be it. So about 13 and a half minutes gone. If you are on a flying lap now, this will be it. This will be your last flying lap. And into the pits comes Richard Mayer. So that will be over for him. Henry King had a personal best first sector. Poynton's gone away with it. King's going to push on. He's in 11th. I don't know if this will be an improvement for him, but we're about to find out as he comes towards the line. What will it be for the 52 car? I think he will stay where he is, and he does. He does not improve. Lacey's done a personal best sector, but that seems to be it. Hammond's also looking to improve. And he's diving into the pit lane.
I think we'll see most people. Geez, a bit of a moment for Brad Hayes. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that I'm not a connoisseur of liveries like some out there are. Jason Merrifield, incidentally, is out there, but I don't think he's. Oh, he might. You know what? He's going to make it. I don't know if he'll. As long as he's had a clean lap, he might set a time here and might not start at the back. I suspect that livery of Brad Hayes is a replica of something from somewhere. I don't know why, but the minute I saw it, it triggered something in the back of my head.
Yep, you are very astute. That is I believe that's an Oricon Steel replica from an FPR car. And I'm going to confirm that by...
Merrifield goes to 21st, just ahead of Brad Hayes.
Doing that by doing a quick Google, but that does look like an old FPR car that would have repped Oricon Steel in the day. And yeah, it's that's the thing with these old generation supercars as well in this series is we can do some fantastic throwback liveries, and there is some liveries out there that do look fantastic in that sense.
Absolutely right. Let's get through the grid because these guys will be out there racing in no time at all. Brett Loxton and Aaron Gilbert head up the front row. Michael Hammond and Thomas Hinds on row 2 ahead of Brody McConkey and Miguel Costa Texera. Mark Poynton and Gavin Cox on row 4 with Matthew Deere and Phil Manuel rounding out the top 10 for race number 1 here. Henry King and Daniel Stevens behind them. Then Robbie Bradbury and Colin Bruns ahead of Bray Loveridge and Richard Mayer. James Clark and Matthew Day ahead of John Holton, and Dean Alessi rounds out your top 20. Behind them, Jason Merrifield sneaks into 21st at the last moment alongside Brad Hayes. Matt Meller and John Simpson on row 12 ahead of Craig Bell and Scott Watts rounding out the grid tonight. Your race controllers, as always, Nathan Allen and Isaac Edwards, who, you know, look, my guess here is that we probably won't see, it's unlikely we'll see much of a safety car this evening. but it's not impossible. You know, there's a lot of runoff across the centre of Winton, but there's certainly plenty of walls along that front straight that do have the opportunity to cause a bit of grief for some of our drivers.
Yeah, they certainly do. And look, yeah, safety car, a little bit unlikely, I would think, tonight. However, it's it's not impossible. Don't count it out. I have found some images of that car, Jared Cole.
I see those coming through to me, mate. Thank you.
And
I'm glad I wasn't imagining things.
And that car, funnily enough, was driven by the one and only Mark Larkham.
There you go. There you go.
So
see,
that's a tribute to Larko.
I knew it wasn't me imagining things for a change.
You certainly didn't imagine anything.
We are
Very
moments away from a race start here, and I'm just keeping an eye on the in-game chat. Apparently, one of the safety cars just sneaking out and getting some burnout practice in at the end of the session. Love to see it. Matt Day starting from the pit lane. We are about to go racing. We're underway here at Winton. Race 1 of round 4 begins, and off we go towards turn 1 for the very first time, with Loxton leading the way, Hammond and Gilbert behind, then McConkey and Hins, as we try to get it sorted out through the first chicane as quickly as we possibly can. It's all clean through the chicane though. Everyone just trying to get settled in and make it to the end of this 20 laps without too many issues, I'm sure. Loxton, though, already starting to open up a gap as Hammond and Gilbert start to get into it. Further back in the field, Robbie Bradbury and Brad Loveridge close together. Matt Mellor just struggling a little bit, finding himself on the outside of a few turns, is dropping back through a few positions. He's going to try and get back across and into the racing line. It is such an important track to make sure you don't get offline, because there's not really a lot of opportunity to get back onto it. It's corner after corner after corner through here as we see the drivers navigate the back S's for the first time. Again, they've probably got a better name than that, but I can't think of a better way to describe them. Here we go, back towards the end of this first lap, just a couple of turns to go, and a very, very clean opening lap, and it's pretty much on par with what we've been seeing in this series so far, isn't it? A reasonably calm opening to the race, and race 2 could be where it all starts to just heat up a little bit.
Yeah, they sort of stay in single file. They calm down a bit at the start of a race, and then as soon as they complete that first lap, they go, right, we've done one lap, it's time for the gloves to come off. Fantastic to see. Great start from Brett Loxton on the pole. Hammond also up to second place. This is Merrifield and Mellor battling away at the back end of this field. The thing I love about this series the most, Joe Cole, is it's going to reignite these Ford and Holden rivalries, isn't it? I remember as a young bloke, you watch supercars, you get behind either Ford or Holden, you're one or the other, you can't be both. These days, I don't think supercars has as much of that rivalry as it used to, and watching this series, it certainly reignites that. And seeing two Holdens at the front of the field.
From McConkey.
Beautiful move from McConkey. He's got it out the inside, and this is fantastic racing between these two. It's great for the front three. They're going to get away from it here, especially those two Holdens, which are doing fantastic. But meanwhile, the two Fords side by side. McConkey back to the inside on him, pushing him wide. Here it comes.
Pointing around
goes the background. Point just goes around for good luck. Oh, look at the dive to the inside here for Hins. He's getting very aggressive under brakes. This is great stuff. Here comes Miguel Costa-Texeira. That's contact on the exit. A bit of a rub on the two of them side to side. Out of 10, now down towards 11. This is a very aggressive stuff, and we said that it gets the gloves come off. Three wide. Don't go three wide here, boys. This could end in disaster.
Brad Hayes has to pull out of that one. John Holton and how's Mark pointing at him back there? Of course, he's slid off the road and fallen all the way back to 20th, so not the way he would have wanted to start tonight. But, geez, I was expecting it to take a lot longer before these guys started to open up like this. They're immediately into it. We're side by side through 1 and 2 as Brad Hayes tries to hold off Holden, but look at Poynton just monster it up the inside. And here comes Matt Mellor having a think about following him through. Behind him, Jason Merrifield is right there. And the huge lock of brakes in the background, that was Craig Bell just holding on to the back of this pack. There are battles right up and down through the field here tonight, ladies and gents, and I am so glad you're here to watch it with us, because the racing is always absolutely top-notch when these things get out on track.
This is fantastic stuff at the front of the field as well. It's still going. This is now Hammond and Gilbert all over each other as well. Gilbert desperate to get that spot back. He lost it off the start, went backwards to third place, and now Hammond is defending with his life, but Gilbert wants to go the long way around here, down towards 11, heavy on the brakes. He's going to hold him wide there. Hammond, he's held him on the high line, drive underneath him now, but Hammond has actually just got the better drive off the corner and just a little bit faster at the moment in front, managing to hold this position. This is a hard circuit to try and get past on, as we saw with McConkey and Hinds not that long ago. It's difficult to get the pass and get the run off the corner. The corner's moving left and right constantly, and the change of direction makes it really hard to get the switchback and try and defend corners, because not a lot of them are chained together. This 3-4 complex is chained together as the same, but moving forward, it sort of goes left then right and left then right, and it's all switching back on each other, so you can't get underneath someone to get stuck out wide and high. This is Loveridge battling with Gavin Cox, and actually this is some spots being lost here for Loveridge, so maybe something has happened to the 008 car. Deep under brakes, defending from Stevens behind, but Gavin Cox inside to the 10. He's actually lost 2 positions off start. Loveridge is up 4 places here, which is a great start for him after what looked like a difficult qualifying session. A couple of inside front locks there under the, well, out of turn 9. And that's probably going to be expected in these cars, isn't it, Jared? It's so easy to lock a front brake, as we've seen time and time again in these things.
I don't think there's been a corner yet that we've looked at that there hasn't been a puff of smoke left over from somebody who's just gone through it. Look at the background. There's more getting laid down as Hayes locks a tyre up all the way back there. It's happening over and over again. G'day, fellow. Sign-ups are still available, I believe, for this series. We've had a couple of new drivers join it tonight for the first time, so there's still room on the grid, I believe. But if you want to confirm, make sure you drop us a comment in the YouTube post-race, in the YouTube. What's the word I'm looking for? The stream badge.
Oh, he's dropped it all on his own.
That's
dear. Just
that's not the
spun
way
it
through
in
that
the
one, is
under
it?
brakes. No, and that will be. I actually think he's done well to not pop the motor there, because he would have downshifted way too early. That's locked the rears and actually spun the car. And you see that time and time again with just any generation of supercar. You downshift too quickly, the rear diff just locks itself up and you cannot stop the car, and it just lets go from out underneath you. So he's done well to catch that like he has and continue on. He's lost a handful of places. He's still in 15th though. Meanwhile, this is still going on between McConkey and Hinds. This is for 4th place. Oh, look at the massive lockup for McConkey on the entry to the corner. He had it stopped pretty well all the way until the turn in. As soon as he's gone to turn in and trail brake, the inside front has grabbed, and now prime opportunity for Hinds to try and drive underneath him. Not able to do it at the final corner. A nice exit off the final corner will set him up towards turn 1 and 2 though. This is a chicane, so he's going to have to be aggressive under brakes if he wants to get it done. No, doesn't think about it. Look at the lockup in front as well. There's Gilbert and Hammond to go for the battle. Not quite the exit that Hinds would have wanted here, so he won't be close enough to go for the move into 3. Massive lockup once again for McConkey. They are all... I actually think they're probably very glad that iRacing does not have flat spots on these tyres, because otherwise there'd be a lot of hexagonal shaped tyres out there at the moment.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that there is not actually a new tyre model for these. These are legacy cars in the iRacing service now, so these are still running the tyre model they had last time they were current. So it's very, very different in how it behaves compared to a lot of the newer tyre models on your GT3s and indeed the Gen 3 supercars. It's probably a little less advanced, but no less fun to drive. These things slide around like you wouldn't believe, and you're seeing that here tonight. Just awesome fun to watch, great fun to drive from everything I hear. It's certainly not something I'm capable of controlling anywhere near what these guys are, but geez, I tell you what, great fun all around. Link to a sign-up page, I will work on that for you, fellow. Isaac, I don't know if you're able to try and grab us
I'll work on it.
A Discord invite or something like that. You can drop in the chat. That would be fantastic. Outside of that, I do want to try and get a moment in amongst all of the racing action here to go back and have a look at Mark Poynton's earlier off, because some conjecture that he might have had a bit of a moment as Merrifield comes into the pits. Now that's interesting, because you shouldn't need to pit here, but Merrifield has come in, so I don't know if he's having some other issues going on with his setup or with the car, but he is into the pits and will drop a long way down as a result. Incidentally, John Simpson, who was a new entry for tonight, did set a qualifying time but did not start the race, so has disconnected, unfortunately sitting out for this one. Merrifield in the pits, we'll keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at Mark Poynton's earlier off that sent him all the way to the back of the field. See what we can see from the overhead shot. Is there a nudge here? Oh, there is. There absolutely is. It's not much, but it's definitely there. And when you're already loaded up on those outside tyres, very, very easy to have that just carry you around. And that's exactly what you're seeing. Mark Poynton moving his way back up through the field as best he can, but still sitting in 17th, 10 down from where he started now.
Yeah, this is not fantastic for him, but look at this battle between
we've got an incident in the background.
On.
James Clark, what's happened here?
Oh,
look at the damage on the front right of that car.
That is huge. John Holton also with a meatball flag.
Both
so something has happened between the teammates. Has there been an incident between the? We'd hope not, but the Cannonball cars with the livery reminiscent of that of a Red Bull, of the Red Bulls. Has there been an incident between the two teammates? We go back to this battle at the front of the field. This has been fantastic for Loxton, who skipped over 6 seconds up the road already. He has absolutely just disappeared into the sunset, really, just driving away from these guys while they battle for the last two spots on the podium. But yeah, Clark and Holton, the teammates, both with meatball flags, which tells the story of maybe it coming together. This replay will tell the story here.
Oh, not Poynton again, surely not. Oh, there is contact there. Now, has it happened here? Oh, no.
Bang.
It absolutely is the two teammates. James Clark just couldn't get out of the way, and John Holton has had nowhere to go as he's come through the corner. Both of them into the pits for Cannonball Racing, and with no fast repairs, that will be surely their race done for this one. We're already halfway through it, or close enough to that. I mean, look, repairs are not always a particularly long thing to hang around for in these cars. They are, we've said it before, they're almost made of tissue paper in how easily they do get shown a meatball flag, but they're generally repairable. Hopefully won't take too long to get those guys back out on circuit, but we will keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we'll try and keep an eye on just how long those repairs take. The meatballs have been cleared, which tells me that potentially they are sorted once again. They're still sitting in their pit box.
Oh, there's contact. McConkey slides.
McConkey slides and Hinge drops straight underneath. There's contact. Hard contact. It's still going.
Look at this.
They are still into each other. The elbows are out. These two are fired up. That car is broken. That is, these two are not happy with each other at all. And as a result, Thomas Hinz has returned serve on McConkey, and that was all out war.
That's one I want to go and have a look at again, because I've seen Thomas Hinz drive enough races across enough seasons around the place that I know he's not had a brain snap and done that intentionally. So what has happened to have that car actually grip up and fire into the side of McConkey like that? That was unreal. I don't know what's happened. We'll get a look at that in a second. The result, though, is that McConkey is still sitting there with significant damage and waiting for a tow. The question will be, do we see a safety car? Although it looks like he might be there. He's actually managed to get it back. He's trying desperately to get it down the pit lane. I hope he doesn't pick up a stop and hold for an unsafe pit entry for that one. Keep an eye on it, though. He'll be in there getting repairs for a while anyhow. That is really unfortunate for McConkey, and it does put this round as probably likely to be one of his lowest scoring ones. He'll be thankful for the drop round.
He will be very, very thankful for the drop round. But yes, that is it's interesting stuff, and no doubt race control will sit and try and break that one down and have a look. Nathan Allen and Isaac Edwards, no doubt, will be looking at that very, very closely and making a very informed decision on exactly how they rule on that one. Holton's back out of the lane and into Thomas Hinz is out. He's been given a disqualification, so Thomas Hinz has been disqualified from this race. That is huge.
Well, what did race control see that we didn't? This is following Thomas Hinz now. Contact on the inside there. They get moving again. They get locked together.
They're turning into each other at this point. Both of these guys, they are turning into each other. There you go.
Well, I retract my previous statement. Short of some kind of wheel malfunction, that looked very much like a very distinct right-hand turn. And I think that'll be why that's resulted in a DQ for Thomas Hinz. Not something we see very often at all. Wow.
Not at all. And look, it's hard. Emotions run high, especially when you're behind the wheel of these things and split-second decisions. However, that is very, very messy, and I'm sure Thomas Hinz, on reflection, will look back and feel that he's made the wrong decision to turn the way he has. Obviously, again, everyone's feeling very frustrated by the fact that there is, they've come together, and he's been trying to get past for quite a while. He's already hot-headed because McConkey's made it very difficult to get past, as he always does. And yeah, it's just a little bit of a brain snap for Hinz, and no doubt he'll go and take some time to calm down, and I'm sure reflect as he always does. He's a good bloke, and hopefully we'll see him back for the next round. But yeah, disappointing way to end his evening.
I will say, right, and look, not to defend anyone's brain snap, but what can happen, and you see it reasonably often, is that when cars come together, the physics get a little bit wonky, and it often locks them together. Now, when you're actually in the car driving, it can still feel like, if you don't realise that's what's happened, it can actually feel like it's the other driver turning into you and pushing you around. And in the heat of the moment, when you've been pushing that hard, it's that sort of thing that can tip you, right? We'll go on board and have a look at this one again, because this is what it looked like. So you'll gets rolling there, and this is where they lock together. Now, it's just going to look from Hin's perspective, but that turn out absolutely not on. He was
turning down as well at that point, and I guess you have to go back and look at what Loveridge was doing at that point as well. But it seemed they were both sort of turning into each other. The physics also probably stuck them together, so they couldn't really get off of each other. And then yeah, Hinz has gone right hand down to turn across into him, feeling frustrated, and that has resulted in a disqualification for Thomas Hinz. And
he's still in the pits.
He's still in the pit lane, so he's got a fair amount of damage that he has to fix. We haven't seen a safety car though, surprisingly, and
look, plenty of room off the track. Safe enough position, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that'll be unpacked for quite a while, I would feel, before we come to a.
Oh, Hammond's had a big moment.
Well,
he's into a wall somewhere. How has he managed that?
And that is, I was just looking that we were missing someone from our top three that we're used to seeing in Hammond. Is that car? He's had a big hit in the wall somewhere. That is massive, and I'm sure that will probably be as a result of the lockup, I would believe. Maybe a popped engine with the flag. We'll have to go back and get a replay. And we do go safety car. So 13 laps into the race, we see our first safety car, and out onto the circuit will roll Nathan Allen.
But we'll see what on earth happened.
That's a strange one. Here we go.
I think you're probably on the money though. There's a well, oh no, he's had a disconnect at the worst possible time. Full noise. Just a brief moment of disconnection from the server. But at that sort of pace, nowhere else to go. That is brutal. And
brutal.
The only thing I can do, and it's not going to make it any easier for Hammond to stomach, but the only thing I can offer him is that, those disconnects are the sim racing equivalent of a mechanical failure.
Yeah, they are absolutely. That is everyone gets mechanical failures in real life, and I think there used to be my favourite piece of iRacing code is that the engine would randomly blow up on the start-finish line and when you turned it on, but it was very, very rare. But that is, unfortunately, that is our version in sim racing of a mechanical failure. This is James Clark coming to the lane, and
I'm not sure what's happening here.
He's on the entry?
I'm not sure, because he's come back in. Look, it's recorded a crash, but I think that's actually just due to how much he slows down on the entry here.
It has to be.
Rather than actually hitting anything. It's just odd to see him back into the pits because he's still in there now. So I don't really know what to make of that one. It is very strange.
Strange things happening tonight.
Yeah, I won't sing it, but you probably look, who doesn't remember the is it the Toy Story song? I don't know. That always jumps into my head when people say strange things. Anyhow, that's a Friday night view into my mind, folks. We'll get back on track with a focus on the racing as the safety car heads around at the front of the pack. Now, whether or not we'll see them do many more laps, I'm not sure. I wouldn't expect more than perhaps one more after this. I'm anticipating we'll probably get the safety car in next time around because we've already seen Michael Hammond cleared from the track. So there'll be an opportunity here perhaps for a wave by for Jason Merrifield, who's in the mix there. You see him just go past the camera now. He might be able to pick up that lap that he's down as we come through the 1-2 chicane. But there's not a lot of room to get those wave bys done here at Winton. There's only a few brief moments that make it possible.
It's just keeping an eye on the chat as well. It seems there's a lot of discussion around that incident. I think that's
Andrew. Rushy's come in and straight. Oh my goodness! I haven't heard of or thought of that TV show in decades,
forever, and now I can't get the song out of my head. So thanks for that. Thanks for that, Andrew Rushworth. I really appreciate that. That's going to be stuck in my head for the next week and a half now. That's fantastic. But yeah, I think that's going to be a discussion point for quite a while after this evening, and there seems to be some opinions out there. So there's always opinions out there, but there seems to be some strong opinions out there about this incident, and I'm sure that there's two sides to every story. But yeah, it's going to create a lot of conjecture, create a lot of headlines, and sometimes in this business, headlines are good. Someone once said that all press is good press. Don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that statement. However, there is going to be a lot of discussion around this incident. We shouldn't be too far away though, Jared Cole, from a safety car restart. I would suspect we might get this time by, and there goes Nathan Allen as if on cue, and the safety car is in this lap.
It is indeed. So we're about to go green, a little bit further yet to go for Loxton. How is anyone locking the brake up on a safety car lap? I saw that back there. That was one of the Bram cars, I'm sure, who locked that up. And look, it happens. It happens. I was about to ask, I was like, did you find the Discord link? And I thought it had popped up there somewhere.
I can't pin it, but if I
let me try and find it, and I'll if I can find it in there
safety car restart. We are away. So Brett Loxton is actually going to be under pressure now. So he can build over a 6-second gap at the start of this one, and that's all gone away now. And here is Aaron Gilbert to go up, try and stay with him to battle for the lead of this race. In the background, you can see it looks like Phil Manuel and King getting racy. Those front three have already ditched these guys, so King going defensive from Phil Manuel. Cox trying to find a way past as well. So look at this little battle pack that's happening. The 52 car leading this from Phil Manuel. Around the outside looks Cox. And
that's actually that's Merrifield stuck in the middle of
Merrifield.
it. That's the six racing entry.
Car.
Yeah, so that's a really awkward spot for him to be sitting at the moment. He is all the way back in 20th, and he's right in the middle. Didn't get a wave by on that one. Oh, there's contact there.
Oh,
and
too wide.
Oh no, Merrifield's off. Loveridge just a little slide, but Merrifield absolutely sent. Now this rejoin's going to be interesting. Loveridge needs to get back on safely. Brad Hayes coming through pretty quickly behind there. He's going to lose another spot, but thankfully no further contact. Loveridge has picked up a meatball load from that contact, and look, he's going to make it around again here. He might even be able to get away with actually finishing the race out and not coming in to clear that. No, we're actually just a little bit too far out for that. If it was one lap later, he would have been able to actually come through and not serve that one, if memory serves. If you can finish the race within 3 laps, you don't actually have to clear that meatball. It's been a long time since I've damaged the car enough to get a meatball, but not enough that I can't drive it, that I can drive it back. You know what I mean? So I tend to do a pretty good job of it when I damage them. But as we said earlier, these things are a little bit tissue papery sometimes, and you will see a lot of meatballs where these legacy supercars are involved. But it does mean that the drivers can often get it fixed and back out on track and still complete the race. Out in front, Brett Loxton and Aaron Gilbert still reasonably close together, but both starting to pull away now from Costa Texera. Henry King, Phil Manuel, who all have a bit of space between them coming down the second to last section of this circuit. The battle really is right here, and it's around P10, which we see so often for whatever reason. It's Colin Bruns, Robbie Bradbury, Matthew Deere on your screen right now, who are right at the back of this top 10. The thing to keep in mind, of course, full reverse grid for race number 2. So that will be a very, very interesting one as Lockridge comes in to get that repair very, very late on. So that's going to effectively put him towards the back, but certainly up towards the front for race number 2 when we do flip the grid around.
Yeah, it's going to be good for McConkey and Hammond as well to get towards the front of the grid. I've made sure that link now is pinned under the Super Racing Broadcast channel has posted that, and that is pinned. I also, while I did that, quickly had the broadcast start playing, and it was in 4K, and I have to tell you folks, if you are not watching this broadcast in 4K, what are you doing? You are doing yourself a disservice. It is fantastic that Simple Racing Broadcast and yourself, Jared, are able to broadcast in such a high quality, and it looks spectacular. And I'm not biased, and I'm not biased at all. I'm not saying this just because you employ me. It is fantastic. And if you are not watching in 4K or at least in HD, folks, make sure you go into your YouTube settings and your video settings and make sure you up the quality so that it is in HD, because it is absolutely fantastic. These cars look spectacular. The broadcast coverage, as always, is brilliant. And look, you might get this. You do get this quality on Foxtel, but you have to pay for it. You don't get this quality for free anywhere else, folks. So make sure you have your quality up as high as it can go. And make sure you check out that link as well if you are keen on racing in these cars, because these cars are a lot of fun, and these guys have proved that already this evening. We're only 20 laps into, 60 Ks into a 200K evening. We still have 140 Ks to go, if I can even do maths after this, which is really, this race has set the tone for the evening, hasn't it? It's going to be hard, it's going to be aggressive, and there's going to be some big moves at places you really at least expect it.
Yeah, there absolutely will be. And look, it's always the way with these cars. These guys do throw them around. A big lock up there from Colin Bruns, and that's going to put them side by side now. Matthew Deere just tucks in behind. Robbie Bradbury's going to go around the outside and pick up that spot, so he'll be up to 8th with only about a lap and a quarter left to go here. So that is great timing, but have a look at the group behind him. Bruns, Deere, Mayer, and there's Mark Poynton, who has slowly but surely been clawing his way back up through the field. He's now only 5 from where he started. And Richard Mayer, it's Richard Mayer that's been locking that tyre up every time and leaving all that smoke.
Every time.
I knew it was one of them back here. Mayer absolutely sending out. Look at the background. There's more. And I reckon that was Craig Bell that time. I am going to call these guys out every time I see it now. Final lap, the white flag's up. Matthew Deere has a moment. Richard Mayer's got an opportunity, and he's going to go up the inside as they come towards the chicane for the final time in this first race. Mark Poynton just sitting and waiting for an opportunity to pick up maybe just one more spot. Out in front, Brett Loxton looks almost certain to bring this one home. He's held onto this lead for a very, very long time here tonight. Despite the safety car, Aaron Gilbert is not going to catch him at this point. Miguel Costa Texera looks likely to come home in 3rd, and he's done a great job of catching up. But the battle is here. Look at this pack behind Bradbury at the moment. The pressure's going to be on every single one of these drivers. They need a perfect run from here. In the background, Dean Alessi's even going to catch them at this rate. It's not done yet. Matthew Deere is still trying to regain this spot from Richard Mayer. Mark Poynton's just waiting. There's Dean Alessi, who's come out of nowhere and is right on the back of the group as well. A big slide from Mayer, and that's going to give the spot up to Matthew Deere. He brings that one back. Can Mark Poynton get through at the death? 3 corners to go after, 2 after this one. There's nothing left in it. Brett Loxton, just rounding the final corner, is going to come across the line. He'll take the checkered flag. There it is. Loxton, Gilbert, Costa Texera. There's a swap as Mark Poynton and Dean Alessi side by side. Ahead of them, though, Richard Mayer throwing everything at Deere. There's contact on the final turn. Mayer slides. Deere continues. Poynton and Alessi pick up a spot each, and Richard Mayer will finish in 13th. What a way to end that race.
That is a fantastic ending. That doesn't sum up what we've just watched for the last 20 laps. I don't know what else does. That was fantastic racing. Ended, unfortunately, in disaster for Richard Mayer, who drops back to 13th, holds on over Brad Hayes in the end. I thought Brad Hayes was going to get him for a second there, but Brett Loxton has looked sensational so far this evening. 3/10 clear of anyone else in qualifying. Absolutely walked away prior to the safety car. Was, well, what, at least 6 seconds up the road last time I checked. Probably a lot further than that by the time we got to the safety car. And then Gilbert tried to go with him for a little while, but just was not able to, and in the end brought it home to a fairly comfortable victory. And he'll have to start from the back in race number 2, but I suspect that probably is not going to be an issue for the man. He will be moving through that field fairly quickly, I'd imagine.
That he will. Let's bring up the grid for race 2 because, of course, we jump straight into it. Ignore Isaac Edwards and Nathan Allen because, of course, they're not going to be racing here tonight. But John Simpson and James Clark will be at the front of the field. Now, this will be interesting because Edwards and Allen will leave 2 empty grid spots there. But anyhow, Michael Hammond and Brody McConkey behind them. Then Holton and Loveridge, Merrifield and Watts round out the top 10, technically top 8, but we'll bounce on past that, shall we? As we look further back, Matthew Day and Craig Bell ahead of Matt Mellor and Brad Hayes, and Richard Mayer and Dean Alessi, Mark Poynton and Matthew Deere ahead of Colin Bruns and Robbie Bradbury. Behind them, Daniel Stevens and Gavin Cox, then Phil Manuel and Henry King with Miguel Costa-Texera and Aaron Gilbert. Brett Loxton, the last car on the grid for race number 2. And geez, after what we've just seen, isn't this going to be an interesting one? I've just confirmed, actually, it doesn't look like John Simpson is back, so it will be James Clark and Michael Hammond effectively the front of the pack. And they'll be, I think if I'm doing my numbers right here, James Clark is going to have a row all to himself ahead of Hammond and McConkey. So that's brilliant news for McConkey, though, because it opens up a very, very easy run through for him, and he's going to want to maximise his points after the disappointment of race 1. I've just got confirmation from Nathan Allen. Apparently, at some stage they've updated the meatballs, so you've actually got 5 laps to clear it now, not 3. So that's generous. Thanks, iRacing.
That's very nice of iRacing. I've just noticed we've got a celebrity that's appeared in chat as well. Hayden Veld has shown up. He's showed up just to have a dig at poor Harry Dodds and Nathan Allen. So he's just showed up to pile on, really. But great to see Hayden out there taking a night off from listening to Sabrina and driving race cars to come and check out what's happening here at LARC, and hopefully he's enjoying all the action. But I did see him just sort of floating around there for a minute, and Nathan Allen really excited that Hayden Veld is in the chat, as you can see. Here we go. The light's going to come up though, Joe. We're going to go racing for race number 2, 80Ks.
Clark on the front row, McConkey immediately behind him. Watch for McConkey off the start here. We are green and we're away. A little bit of a bog down for McConkey. He's going to put him under pressure. The 2 007 Motorsports entries immediately trying to jump him as we come down to the first turn. We're 3 wide, McConkey in the middle. He's going to hang on for dear life. The Cannonball car up the inside. That's James Clark. John Holton behind. Scott Watts in 6th has moved up 4 off the line. Jason Merrifield down 2. I have to remember, of course, that those 4 are realistically because we had a fair number of drivers not start. But out in front, Hammond, a great lead off the start. His teammate Loveridge behind. Brady McConkey is starting to settle in now with Clark and Holton behind. They'll want to be careful not to come into contact again this time. Mark Poynton in 14th is moving up as he sends it up the inside of Jason Merrifield, and further back in the pack, Henry King, Phil Manuel, Miguel Costa-Texera all mixing up, and there goes Brad Hayes. A little bit of contact for Phil Manuel. He sneaks through, and we were very, very lucky not to have a bigger incident there.
Yeah, very lucky indeed not to have a bigger incident. There'll be damage on that car, or Phil Manuel will be walking wounded. That was a pretty heavy hit into the side of Brad Hayes, side by side. This is Alessi getting the move done on Bell, and he does get that done in the background. This is Manuel and Henry King going side by side. Gilbert Costa-Texera, Brett Loxton not able to capitalise to move forward as much as they would have liked on the opening lap. Look how deep under brakes the 203 car of Gilbert is, and just really trying to hurry up Phil Manuel to tell him to get a move on through the corner. He's going to look now. Will Gilbert, I would imagine, down the inside at 1-2 chicane. This is a dangerous place to go side by side. He thinks about it. The overlap was there, but he backs out of it and does not follow through on the move. And that's a smart decision. You do not want to try and go side by side through that chicane at all. Up in the foreground, Mark Poynton continuing to move forward. Jason Merrifield losing a handful of positions there, both to Poynton and Deere, who go through. He's just opened the door for the both of them. And now looks vulnerable to Robbie Bradbury, who's gone through, and now Dan Stevens might invite himself through and overtake as well. So it's not a good day on the grass for Dan Stevens. He manages to catch it and pull it up. He's done very well. That could have been disastrous. We'll go side by side. Lock up in front. Not quite sure who that was, but that smoke is still going on in the foreground. Look at this. It's more lockups happening
I think it's still Craig Bell, honestly. Craig Bell has just...
Probably could be.
He's been abusing the tyres tonight. Everywhere he goes. Look at it. It's absolutely Craig Bell. I don't know if there's some kind of damage that he's carrying somehow across races, or if he's just dragging the brake a little too much, but that car is smoking the tyres under brakes through almost every single turn. Look at him do it again. Craig Bell, what is going on in the cockpit of that Falcon? There's something off. Dean Alessi and Colin Bruns side by side as they run down to the chicane, and Alessi just pulls out at the last moment before they get to it, and loses a little bit of pace as a result. But the lineup of cars here behind Scott Watts in 7th place is pretty significant, and there's a few seconds up the road as we see now Matthew Deere go through past Craig Bell. In the background, that's Robbie Bradbury looking in his rearview at Daniel Stevens and Jason Merrifield. And here come the leaders from the last race. Henry King making his way through. Aaron Gilbert not too far behind either. So they're starting to make their way up through the field. But geez, it's a lot of effort as you see King bouncing up and over the curbs, just trying to make room to get through and open the door for his teammate and bring him along as well. They're trying desperately to leave behind Brett Loxton, Miguel Costa Texeira. Phil Manuel's further back, and there's contact.
Look at the Constantina.
It's Craig Bell. I reckon he's overcooked those tyres already, just from dragging a little bit too much, and he's starting to lose grip very, very early on. That's my prediction. He's going to really struggle to get the pace back up. But in the background, that's just going to open the door, isn't it? Costa Texeira is about to go past relatively easily. Merrifield probably won't quite get there. Out in front, though, Michael Hammond, a very, very tidy little lead. Brade Loveridge and Brady McConkey still going at it. So these two had really, really tough opening races, finished well down through the pack due to damage and repair times. But starting at the front here, they're both going to put a really sensational battle on here for us. Michael Hammond, the same kind of situation, but he just got that bit of an extra jump off the start, and there's contact into turn 3 as they all try and get this sorted out. Matt Miller is right in amongst it and getting just overrun at the moment by the likes of Poynton and Bradbury trying to go along as well. Henry King's not far off the back. There are moves happening all over the place in the middle of this pack, and I don't know if this is going to end well at this stage. Look at the dive up the inside. That's Stevens going up alongside Henry King. And Robbie Bradbury now side by side with Stevens as they come through this back and forth S's. There's a lockup of brakes ahead as well. Craig Bell is off the track again, so he's really, really struggling. And in the background, there's huge contact. As a result, that's Henry King. And dare I say it, it's
dear.
Henry King, Aaron Gilbert, Brett Loxton all caught up in it. It looks like Aaron Gilbert managed to get through. Henry King absolutely didn't, though, and he is carrying a significant amount of damage. He's going to have to come in and get the repairs done. It's 5 laps in. He can absolutely take his fuel here, though, and not have to make a stop. So it could be worse, but it's certainly not ideal for him.
Not ideal at all. Very, very disappointing. Haydenville, HJR, Biff, there certainly is a bit of Biff going on out there at the moment. Scott Watts defending from Bruns and Deere, trying to hold on to this P7 in the background. Mellor and let's go. Look at the train of cars that is forming behind Scott Watts, who is just holding everybody up. 8 seconds clear of the front 3 from Clark, and then another 7 seconds clear Clark, Mayer and Holton from this group with Scott Watts at the head of it. This is the front, this is the lead of the race.
McConkey dives across as Loveridge defends.
He does.
Loveridge locks up. He goes around.
The 1-2 is no longer on for Loveridge and for the 007 Motorsport cars. Hammond will still be out in front, but Loveridge has some work to do now if he wants to try and get that first second they had back, and the team would absolutely love a 1-2 in this reverse grid race if they can pull it off. After the struggle they had in race number 1, connection issues plaguing Alessi, it does seem, which will be difficult to race him side by side. A replay of what happened here with Henry King. He's currently outside with his teammates. It was the 2 teammates, yeah, Gilbert and Henry King. And that is certainly some HJR biff, isn't it? The teammates getting into each other, and no doubt the debrief will be pretty fiery, I'm sure.
And look, the HJR and Team Jinx guys are effectively same teams but different names. So it is absolutely an entirely in-house incident there. And Scott Watts is about to get jumped by 3 cars at once. Colin Bruns goes through. Now Mark Poynton up the inside as well. And here comes Matthew Deere trying to follow as well. Watts forced off the track. Had nowhere else to go, and he's going to just try and hold in behind Alessi and keep Bradbury, Stevens and Mellor behind, but he's going to have to just try and get back onto that racing line and get his head straight again. That was pretty rough, but very, very clean in terms of the overtakes. Further up, James Clark, Richard Mayer and John Holton in their own little battle with daylight behind them. Look at the gap, 8 seconds back to Bruns. They're just coming out onto the straight now, and it's a big group in and around this P10. It just keeps popping up, this P10 area. It just seems to be the source of so much.
Yeah, it certainly does. This is where the battles are pretty much all the time. No matter who's involved in that top 10, there is a battle in and around that group. This is a replay. This will tell the story. This is Merrifield and Gilbert, and just sort of loops it on his own, and then, done very well to avoid major contact there on the funds in the background.
Robbie Bradbury had a moment. Scott Watts has gone around somewhere as well, but they both got moving. They've just dropped a long way back into the pack, so I don't know if there was any contact in that. We'll have to have a look when we get a moment. Side by side now, Aaron Gilbert's trying to move back through the field. He gets past Matt Mellor. Phil Manuel will try and go with him, but will probably get stuck, I would say, at this point. Merrifield and Bell side by side into the same turn. Tell you what, out in front, Hammond, McConkie and Loveridge are absolutely cheering because all this battling back here is giving them a massive, massive advantage. They could be thinking about maybe doing a bit of fuel saving and not having to make that pit stop at all. Whether they want to risk it at this point is, look, it might even be too late to start thinking about that strategy. Already 7 laps in. You've used a lot of fuel to get to here and to open up that sort of gap, but it does mean they can probably afford to back it off a little bit and just reduce the amount of fuel they need to take on. Richard Mayer about to send it up the inside on John Holton. He'll set himself up for the final turn onto the main straight and does it with ease. Mayer up into 5th. In the background, there's all sorts going on back here still as we see Loxton dive to the outside. He's carrying that damage on the front left still, but he's going to get around the outside of Bradbury here, although Bradbury's not going to let him get through easily. We see Alessi still flickering all over the place. It's ideally in the background. Brad Hayes goes around out of the final turn, and he's just going to sit there and hope that no one collects him. He gets away with it this time. Now, further up, Brett Loxton and Robbie Bradbury continue. Matt Mellor and Phil Manuel behind them in their own battle. Loxton's gotten through the chicane, and Manuel just trying everything he can to stick with him. Can't get through in the same movement. It's just going to keep separating them.
Yeah, he's just not able to follow through, and he really is trying to stay with Loxton in this group. He wants to try and continue pushing through and towards the top 10, but it's so hard to pass around here, and if you don't capitalise straight away, you can then find yourself in a tricky position to try and get past at a later time, and he now has to wait and try and size up Mellor at a later date, which is going to prove difficult, that is for sure. He will be able to get it done at some point. Miguel Costa-Texeira has not moved forward in this race the way I think he would have wanted to. He's struggled a little bit.
He's been to the pits.
He has been to the lane.
He's gone for the
undercut.
been
to the lane.
He's gone for the major undercut. He came in on lap 3. So he's figured it out that it only needs a couple of extra laps on board. He's only spent 5.7 in the pit bay itself. So you're talking about, I don't know, I mean, I think we figured these numbers out properly last time, but I didn't write them down anywhere because that would be thinking ahead, and that's not what I do. 5 seconds in the bay, it's probably about 10 litres, maybe a little bit less, let's say 9 litres. That's your 3 laps, that's all he needs. So from here, Costa-Texeira has a huge amount of clean air ahead of him to play with. He just needs to put in some real banker laps and try for that undercut to get back up towards the front.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of work to do, but we'll keep an eye on his times, and I doubt he would have changed tyres because that's not long enough to be stopped in the box to change tyres on these cars. But we'll keep an eye on exactly what he is doing. He's got a bit of clean air at the moment, 4.5 seconds to Bell in front before it's trying to navigate another car. This is Henry King as well, who has
really struggling.
Fixed it. he is struggling. He's not having a good race at all, and there may be a little bit more damage on that car potentially the way he is driving.
He spent just over 3 minutes in the bay getting some damage repaired, but I reckon he's gone for as much repair as he can without spending time repairing all of the optionals. It's just costing him, and he's just coasting now to get out of the way of the lead lap traffic. It's a rough night for Henry King, no two ways about it. And honestly, Isaac, I blame you. You told him to have a good race when we were chatting just before getting underway, so I think that one's on you, mate.
That's very unfair. I was just trying to be nice.
Is it though? Is it unfair, or is it just accurate? Hey,
Look,
Phil,
it is
where
accurate.
have you been, my friend? Mate, if you haven't seen LARC before, then you have been missing out on some absolutely phenomenal racing. This is every time LARC go racing, it's like this, and I am here for it.
Yeah, this is a fantastic series, fantastic racing, and it's great to see these old cars. Look, I'm actually very happy with this top 10 at the moment. I don't know if the parity hunters out there will be very happy with this, considering we've got 2 Fords in the top 10, but as a Holden fan, I am absolutely ecstatic that we have 8 Holdens inside this top 10 in a very, very strong looking field. It's fantastic to see these guys rolling around again. It really reignites the passion in a lot of supercars fans that were so used to seeing the old Holden Commodores and Ford Falcons, and just proves that these cars can continue to provide some of the best door-to-door anywhere in the world. Obviously, they did that in real life, and they are continuing to do that here on iRacing. It's a series that I think, and a car model that is underutilised, as Gilbert goes through on Alessi. It's a car model that is underutilised, and this really just exemplifies that in my mind. For me, these cars should be really a staple of any supercar series on this platform. Yes, everybody wants to do the Gen 3 and look like the modern and current thing, but these cars are fantastic and should never be overlooked, because the racing you get from them is second to none.
Yeah, it's up there, right? The new Euro NASCAR has been awesome, and I'd probably put that just ahead of these in terms of racing. But geez, there's not much in it. And if anything, the only difference is that the NASCAR was Costa Texera gets a big nudge from Craig Bell, manages to hold on to it and continue on. But geez, that was close, and it would have made his bad night very much worse. He's managed to hold on to it now, though, as he looks for a way past Scott Watts. I think the only reason I'd put the Euro NASCARs, the Monday Night Trans Am series that we cover with MC Motorsport, the only reason I put them ahead of these is because they can take more of a beating before being sent to the pits with the meatball.
Yeah, they're not as fragile as these cars, are they? Look, these cars can still take a beating off the road. Goes Mello's going to lose a handful of spots here. These cars can still take a beating, that is for sure, but they cannot take a beating anywhere near what the Trans Am cars can, and I think everyone proved that on Monday night when we were at Long Beach. They certainly copped a beating at Long Beach, didn't they, with all those concrete walls. Holton sitting in 6th at the moment, doing a fantastic job defending from Colin Bruns, who's looking for a way past. Mark Poynton's also into the top 10 now. Loxton Gilbert not too far away. Loxton's actually lost a spot somewhere there, not yet to pit. Miguel Costa Texera, who has the first car to pit, is up into 17th place, so he's flying along at the moment, pushing as hard as he can. He's got a lot of clear air in front of him with about 8 seconds up the road to Merrifield, so he is really just in the box seat to do his own thing right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can make of this. I mean, obviously he was starting towards the back of the field with the reverse grid anyhow, so the fact that he's up 8 spots and has already completed that pit stop as we get to pretty well the halfway point of this second race, it's potentially setting him up really, really nicely. Oh, big moment there as John Holton, I think he just turned that into his pit stop, honestly, rather than that being a planned excursion, but goes off the track and then takes the pit lane and will go in. And Mayor Bruns and now Mark Poynton will continue on side by side into the chicane. But we're going to get through cleanly again. So everyone's still giving plenty of racing room, plenty of respect on track. Mark Poynton says, no, now it's time for me to keep moving on, and we'll go up the inside. It's going to take him a couple of turns to get this done. If he's not careful, Bruns is going to be on the inside. Bruns has held it around the outside, and Poynton backs out of it. Look out, here comes Matthew Deere, fires it up the inside, and gives Poynton absolutely no choice but to lose another spot.
Yeah, and that's, unfortunately for Poynton, It's innate. He's doing a good job. One of the biggest movers so far in this race is actually Loxton, who's in 16th, but Mark Poynton's up 9 places. Aaron Gilbert's up 17. And Poynton will just want to try and move past these guys if he can, as Hammond now dives in the lane for his stop. So he's decided that it is time. And well, how long will he spend in the booth? Where will he come out in relation to Costa Texera? I'd imagine he'll come out in front of him. Richard Mayer at P5 at the moment, defending from runs still. So they're all out of the final corner. He got a really good exit into the final corner. Really good exit there from Colin Bruns, and they're going to go side by side down the front straight. Keep an eye on Deere in the background that could also become a part of this if he's not careful. And I'm just trying to look. Hammond's just come out just behind these guys. You can see him in the background. Look at this. It's still going on. Bruns, Deere, Mayer, all a part of this. Poynton also going to go up the inside now of, that is Michael. No, that is...
That's Mayer.
It was Mayer, sorry. He's gone past Mayer. So he's finally moved up to his position, well, position number 6. Keep in mind that Hammond behind him has already served a stop. Hammond's going to get stuck behind Richard Mayer and have to try and find a way past now. He's got Gilbert right in behind him, who's yet to stop, but also looking for the opportunity to maybe just put a bit of a headache on the man who is leading this race in Michael Hammond. But that does tell a story. So that is where you'll come out if you're in the lead of this race, whereas cars around him still have to pit. If you can save enough fuel and you are Aaron Gilbert, you might be able to get to the end. We did save 25 laps on a tank of fuel at full noise, so there is a potential a bit of lifting and coasting could get you home. However, it will be very, very close.
I wonder if anyone's trying that at the moment. I suspect that we're actually seeing potentially a little bit of that going on with some of these drivers that are at the front end. There's not a lot though. When I'm looking at the lap times, as Hammond continues his push after coming out of the pits and wants to stay up towards the front as best he can. I'm watching McConkey closely because he's doing 1 minute 20s at the moment, which is, look, it's a little way off what we were seeing as the best times, and there's a lot of, I mean, McConkey's a 19.5 is his best. You don't drop a second just for fun. So if he's going to continue doing those sort of times, then that might tell us a little bit something about what he's trying to do here. But I don't think there's anyone that we've seen who's stood out so far as consistently lapping slow to try and save fuel. I think we're going to see everyone come in for at least that one stop, but I'd be very, very happy to be proven wrong.
I'd be thrilled to see a no stop here. That would be fantastic if someone could pull this off and absolutely not have to stop in this race. But we'll see. Off the road in the background, Craig Bell. So difficult night for Craig Bell. Not only is he locking up at every corner, but he's now run wide at turn 5 and then on the road just after rollover corner at turn 6. So got that out, and there's a bit of chat going on. It's a bit of chat going on.
Hayden Veld copying it in the chat.
Hayden Veld is copying it.
it's not unusual, and
stacks on Hayden Veld. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just going to let that one through the keeper. Michael Hammond goes up the inside of Point and makes it look easy. So that's interesting to see Hammond with that much extra pace through the turn there. Point's been backing off here, and I'm watching these times so closely, and I reckon McConkey's going for it. He just lapped a 1:22.4. McConkey is absolutely going for the fuel save, and I don't know if Bray Loveridge is going to be onto that or not, because he's still running in the mid-20s.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It may not really pay off for these guys to close. Or may not pay off for him to close up. Deep under brakes, Matthew Deere lock up again. So that's the story of the evening so far for a lot of these drivers, just to the lockups, especially into turn 10. I've seen a lot of cars lock up there through turn 10. It seems to be a bit of a hot spot for these guys, and immediately just getting out of the way, diving the line. That would be a good reset for him as well. A chance to take a breath. It's only 5 seconds in the booth, but that's still enough time for him to try and recenter himself and just, take a deep breath in, deep breath out, drop the car, go again. Lock up in the foreground as well. That looks like Colin Burns that had a bit of a lock up.
Was it
defending
Bruns
from
or
Hammonds.
Was it Clark? It
I
was
don't
one of
think-
these two.
It wasn't Hammond, that's for sure. It was one of these two. And here goes Hammond up the inside. So James Clark wasn't quick off the exit. Bruns got caught up, and now Hammond has capitalised. A little bit of a touch-up from Bruns on the exit as he pulls off in front. Mark Poynton was one of the part of that as well. The drone cam showing us coming through rollover corner here. And Michael Hammond moves up another spot. He's the only car inside the top 12 to pit. The next car that has pitted is Miguel Costa Texera in 13th place. That is it so far for this field. That is everyone who has stopped. Hammond will move up into third now as he goes past Clark. And now it's only Loveridge and McConkey in front of him. Loveridge is 16 seconds up the road, 24 seconds up the road is McConkey, and that is longer than a pit stop, so he will come out in the way to this field. Slow down for Phil Manuel, which is cleared fairly quickly. Mark Poynton looking for a way past Colin Bruns. Wasn't able to do it. Oh, wide. That should be the lane, and it is. So into the lane goes Colin Bruns. He got that a little bit wrong.
I'm still not convinced that's intentional.
I don't think that's intentional. I think he's got it a little bit wrong on the run into 11 and going, you know what? My run wide here is a perfect time to just go into the pit lane.
You know, you've got to take the opportunities when they present themselves, and when you're given a quick entry into the lane like that, you take it, I suppose. It's heating up here. McConkey is up and down a little bit in terms of his times, incidentally. Just saw him run a 1:19.99 on the prior lap. He's run a 1:20.27. Let's see if we can jump on board with him and get an idea of this. Is he actually holding back on this a bit, I wonder? That was a very short shift.
They are very short shifts, so this is fuel saving, I think, from McConkey. I haven't got audio, so I'm relying on just looking at the RPM count on the side of the screen here. But
I've just pulled my headset off so I can actually hear the audio, but he is not put to the floor there. He's only hitting just over 200k an hour. He's still pushing on, but I am pretty convinced that the McConkey is thinking about trying to make this fuel last for the end of the race. He's watching that gap back to Loveridge pretty carefully, I suspect. But he's had those couple of really much slower laps where I think he's taken it very, very easy, and I think he's going to try and do this, and that would be incredibly impressive considering he hasn't been fuel saving right from the start. Now, it's a bit of a touch there as Poynton goes through on Clark. Richard Mayer spears off in the background. And that'll be Brett Loxton not far behind, but Mayer back on in the background. Phil Manuel and Jason Merrifield side by side as they come to the chicane, but Manuel backing out of it fairly early on. Now, I'm pretty certain that when I was having a little bit of a peek at some laps on Garage 61 just prior to the race here tonight, pretty certain it was McConkey's lap times that I was looking at, and this is where I pulled my fuel numbers from earlier, right? The laps that McConkey was putting in his practice sessions, and I can't say they were under race conditions tonight. I didn't look at exactly which session they were from, but he was using just about 2.85 litres of fuel per lap. Now, when you consider you've got a 75 litre tank, and I did the numbers before, but let me pull them again real quick. At 2.85 litres a lap, you've got just shy of 26 and a half laps. I don't think McConkey needs to actually save a lot of fuel to be able to get home without a pit.
No. He might have, like, he could do this, and this is what's going to keep me on the edge of my seat, and will probably keep everyone at home on the edge of their seat as well now. Loveridge may also be trying to do this as well, and
he's back
Hammond is
right
closing in on these guys. They are at least a second slower a lap than Hammond, so Hammond is going to have a big task to try and get there, but he could get there if he pushes on. These guys at the front are really aiming for not having to stop in this race and save enough fuel. It can be done. It mathematically can be. Loxton going to look to the inside now, to the outside for under the tree. Could go back to the inside here for turn 9. He's not close enough though, and has to settle in and lock up there from Clark, it looked like. And he's going to drive underneath him off the exit of the corner, but Loxton desperate to try and get past. How much fuel have these guys saved? They've been battling their way through the field. I don't think it's easy to save fuel when you're doing that. There was a bit of side-by-side action there, I thought. they were going to turn into each other there, with Clark turning in very early to the corner. They managed to make it work. Loxton moves through. Gilbert trying to follow through now as well, up into 6th place. Oh, a bit of contact between Gilbert and Clark, and that's going to catch him out. Richard Mare's there to capitalise. Bray Loveridge is in the lane, so he's decided he's not going to make it to the end, and it's actually costing him a lot of time. He's dropped back to 8th place, and keep in mind, he was 3rd on the road before this. He may end up 3rd on the road, but he is a fair way behind Michael Hammond, who came in much earlier.
I've just noticed that, and I'm not sure what's happened, but Isaac Edwards is in the pits in the race control safety car, and I'm not entirely sure if he's just checking a few things out, or if there's something that's happened on track that we haven't seen. Scott Watts went off track, but he's come back on again and is
see anybody
still rolling. So
stopped.
Yeah, it's an
Gavin Cox looks
in.
to be stopped.
McConkey's in.
Gavin Cox looks to be not moving. It says he's out though, so that may be.
Yeah, no, he's
absolutely
not
now
on circuit anywhere. So
that's
very odd one. But
the other car stopped on my timing.
McConkey's decided to come in, so he's done the numbers and decided that no, he can't get home here. Only 6.95 in the bay, but Michael Hammond is going to go past him. Brody McConkey's on the way out of the pits now, but a long way back, and Mark Poynton's actually snuck through. Now, Poynton surely has not done enough fuel saving that he's trying to get home here. You'd have to think that Poynton's got a pit stop in his future. Behind McConkey, Brett Loxton hasn't pitted yet. Aaron Gilbert hasn't pitted yet. Richard Mayer hasn't pitted. Robbie Bradbury hasn't. Bray Loveridge is the first driver in the list who has pitted, and from there it's a bit of a mixed bag. In fact, the laps that everyone's pitted on your screen now. So there's a lot of drivers that have got that pit stop done, and they're in the middle of it at the moment. But plenty of drivers out on track still to pit that are going to lift a number of other drivers up through the field pretty significantly, unless someone has done some pretty incredible fuel saving.
Yeah, that's look. I think well, we were really excited. We were rubbing our hands together at the thought of trying to hope that someone could get home here with a fuel save, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen, does it? And McConkey's come out in 3rd, and up the inside goes Stevens on Phil Manuel. This is a bold move. Coming up to under the tree, they're going to continue to be side by side. This is a bit of nice battling between these two, and wow, he's done well, Dan Stevens, to remain there around the outside of the tree. A tricky place to be side by side, but he's kept his line. He's absolutely stayed there and worked hard and got the move. That is fantastic stuff for the number 3 car. Moves up a spot into P12. He has stopped in this race. Phil Manuel has not stopped in this race. Meanwhile, in the chat, Hayden Veld's making a few deals with Isaac Edwards to move out of the way in exchange for a couple of things, and a bit of Ryan Palmer being had to dig out there as well. It's all happening in the chat. It's all happening on track as well. James Clark, Jason Merrifield, side by side down the front straight.
Flag.
He has. So that would be for incident points, I'd imagine.
No, I think, and I'm just taking a quick look. No, it doesn't. It must be incident points. I think he's just run off track, and that one extra incident point has been enough to give him that drive through. So unfortunately for Merrifield, he's going to make 2 trips to the pit lane this race. One to keep an eye on here, I think, is still Mark Poynton. He's not coming in yet, and we're getting closer and closer. His best lap, and we know Poynton is fast. His best lap is about 6/10 slower than Michael Hammond's best. It's a good few tenths slower than McConkey's and Loxton's, and he continues to be lapping around the high 20-second mark for his laps. I don't know. I wonder if Poynton's strategy from the start has been to make progress where he can, but to actually just maintain that fuel usage and to get there. It's only 4 laps to go, including this one. I would love to see someone get home without a pit stop. I'd love for it to be Poynton. I'd love to see anyone do it, though, at this point.
Yeah, I would love to see anybody try and get home without with a no stop here. This would be fantastic stuff. Mark Poynton, can he get home without having to stop and potentially get himself on the podium? That is the question we're going to ask. Loxton has not stopped. Gilbert has not stopped. Mayer, Bradbury have not stopped. Phil Manuel, Brad Hayes yet to stop. These guys, Loveridge and Bradbury have, well, Loveridge has stopped. Bradbury has not stopped. A lock up for Bradbury at turn 9. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. He looked to go a little bit wide there. He's still managed to stay in front though, and Loveridge not able to compromise on that, to capitalise on that lock-up as I think he would have liked to be able to. And Bradbury, he is doing his best to defend this position. How much longer can he go on for though? This is lap 25. This is probably where we worked out you'll run out of fuel. So this is to start lap 25 now. To complete 24 full laps of the circuit. So at the end of this lap, if you do not have enough fuel to get home, Jared Cole, you're coming in at the end of this lap. If you do have enough fuel to get home, you're staying out. So the question is, does Mark Poynton have enough fuel in that tank to get home from here?
Look, not taking anything away from Hammond here, or for those in the chat just commenting on how well Hammond's doing. It's worth noting though that Michael Hammond had a shocker in race 1 and so started, well actually no, it wasn't terrible, was it? But he started in about 5th, I think it was, for this race. If my tower was telling me the right thing, although no, he was actually right up front, wasn't he? So he had a shocker in race 1, started at the front of the field and he's led it the whole way. Yes, he's absolutely put in a good showing to maintain it. Points still going. Here we go. This is going to be really tight. I reckon Point's going to cough across the line. But if he can hold this up and do 2 more laps here, he's going to get home without a stop. This is going to be really tight, really tight. Poynton incidentally is up 15 spots. Brett Loxton in the background is up 23. Aaron Gilbert up 21. So they both had fantastic first races, and if they've come through from the back of the field, neither of them have stopped yet. We are getting perilously close to what we had calculated as the limitation of the fuel here tonight. Where McConkie goes flying past. I think that's Matt Meller that they've just gone past. One of the Bram Repcos. No, sorry, it's Scott Watts. The other Bram Repco Racing entry out there. As Phil Manuel looks in the rearview, sees Dean Alessi and James Clark closing in very, very quickly. But I suspect that Poynton, Loxton, Gilbert, and maybe even Richard Mayer are going for a no-stopper here. They know there wasn't much fuel to be saved, and they've actually driven to the fuel numbers the whole way. That's my prediction.
Could be done.
We're going to see here, because if Poynton doesn't come in here, he has to drive it home from there. Michael Hammond is about to start the final lap. We're about to see the white flag out, and Poynton's going to make it. He is confident. It's going to be a real fight from here though, because McConkie is only a second behind, but with just the 1 lap to go, I reckon Mark Poynton's going to come home on the podium here for race 2. Loxton and Gilbert have continued, as has Richard Mayer. Robbie Bradbury's gone on as well. I don't think he's going to come in, so he's going to make it without a stop here. Phil Manuel is on track to do so, but we'll see if he does pop into the pits here. And look, a little bit of an off-track moment there is not going to help his fuel consumption. But you'd have to think that he's not planning to come in at this late stage unless he absolutely has to. This will be the telling moment, and sure enough, Phil Manuel feels like he's got enough in the tank. The one to watch though, Mark Poynton's had a big moment now. This is going to put him under huge pressure. McConkie's going to close that gap. Poynton is going to have to defend for his life here. Already running low on fuel, already under pressure to make it home without that stop. McConkie has all the time and all the fuel in the world. Brett Loxton's been brought into it. This podium battle has just come alive. Michael Hammond is absolutely going to win this one. A massive gap and a great drive from him. But let's keep a very close eye on this one as they come into the final couple of turns. I think Poynton should be able to do it. I'm surprised to see him go wide. You would have think he would defend this one a little bit harder, but he's actually decided to just take the racing line, keep the pace up. Michael Hammond comes across the line for the win, and in the background Poynton's going to do it. He's going to hold on despite that late moment. He's going to make it home in second. McConkie in third, and Loxton comes home in 4th, less than or just over half a second from Poynton to Loxton. All 3 of them only separated front to back by 0.54 of a second as the rest of the field slowly trickles on through. Robbie Bradbury is going to come home without making a stop as well. Richard Mayer got there also. Colin Brunn's not too far behind. James Clark and Phil Manuel going for it side by side, but I think Manuel's going to hold it. Although he's had a big moment there, and all of a sudden, Phil Manuel gives up the spot at the last moment. James Clark will pick up 13th. Phil Manuel will have to be satisfied with 14th, but the news gets worse. That off-track has been just enough to give Phil Manuel a black flag. He's about to cop a 40-second post-race from iRacing, which is going to drop him to 18th.
Oh, that is devastating for Phil Manuel. He's done so well to get the result in that race, and that has dropped him right down the order. Mark Poynton home on the no-stop. Same with Loxton, Gilbert and Mayer. Fantastic job. Up 23 places, Brett Loxton in that race. 21 for Aaron Gilbert and 15 for Mark Poynton. Michael Hammond, a very well-deserved victory in race number 2. Can he convert from the pole in race number 3? I'm sure we'll find out very, very soon. The drivers have a 5-minute break in the form of a warm-up session just to reset themselves, and then we're going to go racing once again, Joe. But that was fantastic stuff from all the drivers involved there. And look, this evening has absolutely flown by. Brett Loxton, that is the race 1 results, took the win by a half second over Aaron Gilbert. We'll get the race 2 results. Actually, did we go through these last time? I don't think
we didn't, because of course there's no break between race 1 and 2, so I thought we may as well have a look back for anyone who
just remind ourselves of what happened in race number 1.
Yeah, absolutely right. Loxton took the win in 1 ahead of Gilbert and Costa Texera. Henry King in 4th, Manuel in 5th, with Cox and Stevens, the teammates, finishing 6th and 7th. Robbie Bradbury interrupting the Middle Finger Racing trio, with Colin Bruns coming home in 9th. Matthew Deere rounding out the top 10. Then Mark Poynton in 11th, with Alessi, Mayer and Hayes behind him. Mellor and Bell in 15th and 16th. Then Matthew Day and Scott Watts, the last cars to finish on the lead lap. Jason Merrifield and Bray Loveridge 1 lap down in race number 1. Behind them, John Holton was 2 down, with Brody McConkey 6 down after that very late issue for him. Michael Hammond finished in 23rd, 9 laps down, so has definitely made up for that in the second race here, with James Clark coming home in 24th. Thomas Hinds and John Simpson not completing the race this evening in race number 1. Then we go to race 2, where Michael Hammond has led it from the start effectively, and has kept the pace up. Was helped along by quite a bit of battling going on behind him early on that let him get out to a massive lead, and he didn't really look back from there. A great win for him. Mark Poynton and Brody McConkey taking 2nd and 3rd, and Brett Loxton just missing out on the podium. Nothing in it in the end between those 3. And then a bit of daylight back to Aaron Gilbert coming home in 5th, with Richard Mayer and Bray Loveridge behind. Miguel Costa Texera, Robbie Bradbury and Matthew Deere rounding out your top 10, with Colin Bruns and Daniel Stevens just missing out. James Clark, Dean Alessi and John Holton were next through. Then Brad Hayes ahead of Matthew Mellor, with Phil Manuel the last driver to finish on the lead lap. And that is post his 40-second penalty. So he would have been quick maths on the finish place. I think he was up in, 13th, but lost 5 spots with that late black flag. So it is brutal, but is the nature of the incident system. And unfortunately, when you're that close to the limit, a little off track like that is all it takes. Scott Watts finishes a lap down. Jason Merrifield a lap down as well. Behind them, Craig Bell also 1 lap down. Matthew Day down 2. Gavin Cox finished 6 down, with Henry King down 9, and a race to forget for him. John Simpson not starting race 2 either. And with 1 race left tonight, it's a shorter one, and I think it's going to be just as chaotic. We won't have a reversal of the grid here, Isaac, so it will be as they finished in race 2. But there's a few drivers that will still want to move through the field from where they did finish, and perhaps push towards the front just a little further.
Yeah, they certainly will. And look, this is the perfect opportunity to try and do that, to capitalise on that hard work put in race number 2. It is my understanding, and looking at the timing screens here, it definitely looks like it's happening with safety cars around on the circuit doing burnouts.
Of course they are.
In this warm-up session, because what else are you going to do with your safety car? You've only used it once this evening, so you may as well go and do some burnouts in it and waste a little bit of fuel and use some tyres up, because you haven't really been able to do that. But yeah, race number two was a great opportunity for some of the drivers that had a bit of a hard time in race number 1, like Michael Hammond, like Brodie McConkey, like Ray Loveridge, to really just capitalise and reset, be at the front of the grid and show what they could do, and they absolutely did do that. But now, at the front of this grid, in race number 3, we have Hammond, Poynton, McConkey, Loxton, Gilbert, Loveridge, Miguel Costa Texeira. It is going to be fantastic racing. This final 20 laps, final 60 Ks is going to be fantastic. I don't know what's going to happen, Jared Cole, but I would suspect that it'll be one, if not all 3 of the seats: chaos, carnage, and calm. At some point it'll be calm, at some point it'll be chaos, at some point it's going to be carnage. Either way, it's going to be fantastic, so make sure you're nice and comfy on the couch with your beverage of choice, something to snack on and eat, because yeah, this last half an hour of racing is going to be fantastic.
Go and get yourselves fueled up, folks. We'll be right back with the grid for race number 3. Well, I hope you've managed to get to the fridge and back very, very quickly, because we are about to go racing once again. The final race for this evening, and the lineup looks like this. Michael Hammond and Mark Poynton will take the front row ahead of Brodie McConkey and Brett Loxton. Then Aaron Gilbert and Richard Mayer, followed by Ray Loveridge and Miguel Costa Texeira. Robbie Bradbury and Matthew Deere rounding out your top 10. Behind them, Colin Bruns and Daniel Stevens, then James Clark and Dean Alessi, with John Holton and Brad Hayes on row 8. Matthew Miller and Phil Manuel line up alongside each other, with Scott Watts and Jason Merrifield rounding out the top 20. Behind them, Craig Bell and Matthew Day, Gavin Cox and Henry King, Isaac Edwards and Nathan Allen back in from their little foray to enjoy some burnouts in the safety car, but they will have to just wait and see if they're actually called back onto the circuit. We'll wait and see what happens, won't we?
Yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on what happens and whether they do make an appearance back out on the circuit. I think we're not too far away from a race start. Most cars have gridded up, and we're just waiting on a handful more. Aaron Gilbert, one of those cars, Gavin Cox, another one, and then I think we'll be ready to go racing. Which this is going to be it's going to be fantastic half an hour of racing. So look, this front row, it's a very exciting front row. Hammond and Poynton, McConkey and Loxton on row number 2, and Aaron Gilbert, Ray Loveridge, Richard Mayer's in there as well, Miguel Costa Texeira. This top 10 is going to be a very, very quick top 10. They'll all be jostling for position in these early stages, trying to work out exactly where they fall in. No one will want to give up track position either.
No, they won't. Nathan Allen just popping his head in and upset that the race control team didn't get their burnouts on stream. Never you mind, mate. I have them marked in our list of events here, and if we get a chance, I promise you I'll go back and we'll take a look at them for you, hey? Just seconds away now. We're waiting for the green flag at the back of the field. That signals that we have everyone on the grid. Aaron Gilbert not on the grid. Looks like he might be starting from the pits here, and that would be a little unusual. We've actually got, you know what? We've actually got about another 45 seconds before we go green. So let's see if I can get a bit of a look at these race control burnouts. I don't know, Nathan. I'm not quite so impressed with that one. But anyhow,
slightly underwhelmed actually. I was promised there was going to be some burnouts. That looks like a slightly controlled spin on this occasion. But
yeah.
I'm sure maybe there's some other fantastic burnout that happened somewhere. Here we go. This will be tell us the story.
They were heading to the burnout pad. There you go. Well, look,
burnout
we'll have to come back and have a look at that a little bit later on for you, Nathan, and we'll absolutely get to it, because we are just about to get the update from our iRacing stewards on track. I think we're just about ready to get underway here. I don't want to miss the start because not that one, he says, mate. I'm just looking through what I've got to work from here. So you can't blame me. You can't blame me. It looks like Aaron Gilbert has made it back to the circuit, so I think we are just about ready to go racing. I'm so glad I could share that one with everybody. Here we go. We are getting underway. Race number 3. The lights are up. Hammond and Point to take us away at the front of the field, and off we go. A brilliant launch from both of them behind. That was Loxton lighting up the tyres and going absolutely nowhere as they stream on down towards turn number 1. Look at Point and Hammond immediately side by side through the opening turns. Daniel Stevens dropping back through the pack rapidly as everyone tries to get it sorted out. But Hammond and Point, neither of these drivers giving an inch. Hammond has to give way eventually as Point gets to the nose and indeed the tail of his car out in front. They finally settle into a racing line, but neither driver there were willing to give up the fantastic start that they had, and they immediately jump out in front. Aaron Gilbert, though, right there with them as they get this one underway.
Oh, I think we need to, at some point when this is all settled down, we need to go back and watch the replay of Aaron Gilbert's start. He absolutely nailed that off the line from row number 3, threaded the needle between Loxton and McConkey on row number 2, and was third and well clear before they even got to turn 1. He absolutely smashed that start. That was fantastic stuff from the 203 car in our championship leader. Around in the background, that's Brad Hayes facing the wrong way. Gavin Cox also caught up in this, so couple of cars on lap 1 caught up in incidents already, and it's not a great night for Gavin Cox. This is Brett Loxton and Richard Mayer going side by side. Mayer defensive into the penultimate corner. Loxton has gone backwards here. He lost 3 spots. He's found 1 in the meantime, but still sits in 6th spot, and it's 2 places down. Well, no, 3 places down actually still from where he started in this race after starting in, well, no, he is. 2, I can't do maths. He's 2 places. He started 4th.
He's 2 spots down. He's about to pick one up again.
There we go. He's 1 spot down, but it was not a good start. It was not a good start. So much wheel spin off the line.
He basically decided to show the race control team how to actually get a burnout happening. And I hope you're taking notes there, Nathan, because that was a lot more smoke than we saw.
Burnout coaching.
Yeah, good.
Paying bells
good.
In exchange for no penalties, of course.
Look at this nose to tail, a little bit of an accordion going on here as Bray Loveridge gets touched up from behind with Matthew Deere just giving him a nudge into Costa Texeira. Everyone just checking up into the corner.
Past Gilbert. Oh, look at him in the foreground. Side by side action between Gilbert and McConkey. This is brilliant stuff up the inside. Is Gilbert. McConkey's going to hang around the outside though. He's got his elbows out with a couple of the HJR boys already this evening, and he's going to continue that trend and stays to the inside. A little bit of a lock up there, it looks like, for McConkey on the run into the penultimate corner, but stays in front for now. And he's had a bit of a tough evening with these Team Jinx shifters boys, and getting the elbows out. It's been eventful, that is for sure, but that one ends in a little bit less tears than it did earlier on for him, and Gilbert will be looking to get that podium spot back as soon as he can. Look, he is staying right there with him. Hammond is staying with Poynton as well, so Poynton actually got a really good start off the line as well, was in the lead of the race before they got to turn 1. Fantastic stuff. That start for both Gilbert, Poynton was fantastic. For Loxton and McConkey, it was not as good. A lot of wheel spin off that line. It was also there was also a lot of wheel spin for the other car on that front row in, I believe it was...
I think Manuel's got the nose of that car underneath the rear bar of Dean Alessi's Falcon there. I don't know how he didn't lift the rear off the ground. It was absolutely buried through that turn.
It was.
Manuel does not want to give up any aero here at all because he knows he's got Henry King right on his tail. Mark Poynton out in front has just set the fastest lap of 19.44, but everyone's sticking right with him at the moment.
Yeah, it's trying to stay. He's trying to break free, but unfortunately, everyone at the front of the field is really staying with him. Brett Loxton is not too far off the back of this group now either. He's trying to insert himself into a 5-way battle for the lead of this race, and if this continues for the next 17 laps, this could be fantastic viewing all the way to the end. Poynton is going to make it as hard as possible to try and get past him, and at Winton, that's pretty easy to do as long as you place the car in the correct spots. Miguel Costa Texeira has now cleared Richard Mayer. Actually, they're still going at it, and he actually has dropped back behind Mayer once again. But at the front of this field, is Poynton, Hammond, McConkey, Gilbert, and Loxton all in, well, all within a second of each other. And soon it's going to be pretty close to a second between, well, less than a second between all four of them, really, or five of them, because they
Gilbert really had
dropped off.
Gilbert had a big lock-up into the first hairpin there, and that's cost him a fair bit of time, a fair bit of space as well. Phil Manuel had a bit of an excursion by the look of things, just maybe facing the wrong way through the same hairpin, but has recovered and not lost too many spots as a result. We'll go back and have a look at that shortly. The battle out in front, though, absolutely still on for young and old. This is Loveridge and Matthew Deere now, as Loveridge defends up the inside, trying to stay with Costa Texera at the same time, but he overcooks the exit, and around goes Matthew Deere. He's going to have to go across the infield and rejoin here. It's going to cost him a lot of time, a lot of speed, and it's going to probably put him back here. Well, here comes Alessi and King. He's going to just stay ahead of them as they get to the chicane, but all on his own there, just pushed that little bit too hard, and it's cost him a lot of track position.
It's not great at all. He's down to 13th and has some work to do to try and clear back up. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still going. These guys, separating Poynton's actually opened up a little bit of a gap to Hammond here, created a bit of breathing space for himself. Hammond now feeling the pressure from McConkey, who's desperate to get past.
It's all good news for Poynton, though, isn't it?
It is great news for Poynton.
Right towards the back of the pack. The battle's still going on back here as well, just for the record, folks. It's not all just up front. This is Bell, Hayes and Watts now in 21st, 22nd, 23rd respectively, and absolutely nothing in it for these guys at this end of the field either. Craig Bell, honestly, that brake balance doing you no favours tonight, my friend. I don't think we've seen him. And again, locks the... What is it with Craig Bell's car tonight? It's just locking up every single turn. I wonder if he's just not quite feeling it, because we've seen him off the track a few times tonight, and I have to think that's because he's just overcooking the tyres time and time again. In any case, hopefully he can hang in there as we go back to the front group. Hammond, McConkey, Gilbert, Loxton, all just a little bit further back than they'd probably like from Mark Point at this stage. We're already over a quarter of the way through this final race, and Poynton is he's looking pretty comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking very, very comfortable out there right now, and that gap is continuing to open up slowly, but it is opening up as these four sort of try and jostle for position. Hammond probably looking backwards more than he is looking forwards, desperate to try and defend this position from McConkey, and this could be the opening that Mark Point needs, just to try and create a bit of breathing space for when possibly Gilbert and Loxton do clear these guys, because they have had a lot of pace. Loxton especially, you saw how much he ran away with it in race number one. Last thing Poynton wants is him right in behind him. This is Miguel Costa Texera, still trying to find a way past Richard Mayer, by the way, who's had some brilliant car placement so far in the opening portion of this race, and indeed throughout the evening. They're going to be side by side down towards 11. This should go in favour of Costa Texera. He has the inside line for the penultimate corner. A lock up there for Richard Mayer, and that's going to cost him track position. He runs a bit wider than he would have liked and drops back in behind.
Yeah, just too quick, Costa Texera, and it's taken some time to get past. I wonder if that will open the door now for Loveridge, for Bradbury. They're all right on tail. Look at him go bouncing through. And Loveridge has gone off the track. He's managed to recover it before hitting the wall, but that's taken him out of that group and sets him all the way back to 11th. He's going to have to watch the rear view now, because here comes, well, it's Clark, Deere and King. And I think I'd probably be very, very worried about the way that Henry King's been moving up through the pack at the moment. He's on a bit of a mission. He's up 11 from where he started.
He is a man on a mission. He's driving well. I'm not going to say anything else because I do not want to jinx him. So
again,
that's as much as I'm going to say about that.
Don't want to jinx him again.
Again. I do mean it. Yes.
McConkey, Gilbert, Loxton starting to fall further and further behind as they battle. Mark Poynton out to 1.2 now, and absolutely very, very happy for these guys to keep this up behind him. Look at the gap start to open up as McConkey just sways side to side, looking for any hint from Michael Hammond that he's thinking about going one way or the other, but Hammond absolutely determined to make this difficult for McConkey, for Gilbert, for Loxton behind. At some point, someone's going to have to try something here, but Hammond's been very, very quick all night. He's, oh, look at this dive from McConkey up the inside, massive contact. A slide from Hammond, he recovers it, but that's going to open the door, and through will go Aaron Gilbert and Brett Loxton. And Hammond will be absolutely filthy with that. McConkey just a little bit ambitious, and now a big nudge as well. I reckon we're going to be hearing from the stewards on that one.
Yeah, it's a very, very aggressive move from McConkey late on the brakes. Huge contact with Hammond. They've both been lucky to get away without any major damage there. But it has opened the door for Loxton and Gilbert, who are still battling in their own right to go on through. And Mark Poynton, that's the last thing we want to see. He will not want to see our championship leader and Brett Loxton, the man that has been so quick here this evening, be the next two cars in the queue to try and catch up to him. Hammond's going to try and stay with him here, but I think that's a losing battle. He's got McConkey all over him, who's just desperate to try and get past, so he's going to be looking backwards more than he is forwards. And under brakes, he's looking okay. It's not too bad at the moment, but
there's definitely damage on those cars too, though.
There definitely is going to be some sort of damage on those cars.
McConkey will have copped something there, and it's going to be slowing them down. It may not be much, but it's going to be enough that they probably can't stay. You're right with Gilbert and Loxton. But for Poynton, he's cheering. He's out to 2.8 seconds right now, and feeling very comfortable. McConkey looked like he was going to have another go at this. He decided not to, and he's backed right out of it that time. So that costed me a little bit of distance as well to Hammond. I'm not quite sure on that one, but anyhow, further back in the field, I think this is pretty much where Phil Manuel's been since the start, just tucked in behind Dean Alessi and not really able to get through anywhere, as James Clark finds himself off the road and rejoining just behind Phil Manuel. If he can get it out of the dirt, it will leave a lot of debris across the circuit as well, so they'll have to be careful on that one as well. I do want to go back and take a look. As you said, the start from Aaron Gilbert was absolutely phenomenal. So we may as well take a moment now to just catch up with that and go back to the race start. Watch him off the line here. Just
perfect conversion.
Right up middle. Thank you very much, boys. You're slow off the line, and I'll take both of those spots before we even get to turn one.
Yeah, he just converted that perfectly. There's so much wheel spin off McConkey and Loxton in front, and he just nailed it, that car. There was probably a little bit of bogging down there, but as soon as he picked up the throttle, he was on it, and there was no wheel spin on that car. Just the perfect launch for Gilbert, and that has netted him P2 overall so far. He's really capitalised. He's in front of Loxton, which Loxton's all over the back of him here, but it's track position is key, and if you're in front, that is, especially when a race with no pit stops, that is exactly where you want to be. Mark Poynton is maintaining the gap to these guys at the moment. They are too busy battling each other to worry about catching up to Mark Poynton. Race control hard at work. They are currently defending themselves from their attacking each other. Actually, they've turned on each other now with their defending of their burnouts. So working hard, it does appear, and I'm sure they're doing a fantastic job. It's been probably a little bit of a quiet night. There's a couple of things I'm sure are coming across their desk, but it seems to, especially
pretty well behaved.
Really? Pretty well behaved. I don't want to jinx it, and I probably just have and touched a bit of wood on my desk.
You probably have.
But they have been fairly well behaved. Henry King up to 12th spot, so continuing to move forward. Conkey looking to the outside. Now could go for the over-under here, the switchback. Not able to capitalise. A little bit wide of the apex there for Hammond, but will have just enough speed that he should hold on, and unless McConkey is going to be sneaking about it, you can see him. Look at him showing the nose on the run towards turn one. He certainly thought about it, but I think he's learned that is not the place to go for a move.
Well, at least not this lap anyway. Dan Stevens, though, he's going to do that, and looks just at the last moment jumped on the brakes and pulled it up before going into the side of Robbie Bradbury there. I'm actually a little surprised that the race control have the time to be in the chat at the moment, because I would have expected that Michael Hammond called that one in earlier. But anyhow, we'll wait and see. I don't have the race control sheet up in front of me to know if they're actually working on it at the moment. So we'll sit and wait and see if we do get an update come through on that one or not. Otherwise, plenty still going on track for us to keep ourselves amused. Robbie Bradbury, Richard Mayer at the head of this little group, including Stevens and Bruns as well.
It's looking nice, isn't it, this little battle pack?
It really is. It really is.
Again,
awesome racing going on.
It's the back end of the top 10 once again. we have, well, 7th through to really Bray Loveridge in 11th place that are all within a close little group of each other. And it doesn't matter who it is in the back end of this top 10, they're always battling for these spots and in position. No one really ever gets to spread out in LARC like I think they would want to and have a bit of clean air to themselves. Again, if they do spread out, it's a little bit boring, but at least you don't have the pressure of someone else being behind you. Robbie Bradbury is the next car in line to try and get past Richard Mayer, who is actually having a wonderful race so far. He is down a spot from where he started, but that has been at the cost of Miguel Costa-Texeira going through. So he is up a spot or two, and Miguel Costa-Texeira has been very, very quick this evening, as he has been all season long. Mayer's actually pulling a bit of a gap here at the opening of this lap, looking at Aaron Gilbert and Brett Loxton still. They're slowly making gains on Mark Poynton. They've gained about half a second in the last few laps. They are lapping quicker, 3/10 quicker to be exact. However, if they keep going the way they're going, they're probably not going to catch him in time with the battling they're doing.
Gilbert's pushing hard though. You saw him light the rears up out of the exit on that previous turn, and he's definitely trying to extract every little bit of pace that he can find here tonight. G'day Nitro Lizard, welcome on into the chat, mate. To join this league, there may still be a few spots open. We have actually pinned a Discord invite to the chat here for you tonight, so if you have a look at that pinned message, that'll get you to the Discord, and from there you can have a chat to the guys at LARC about getting involved. And mate, if you love driving these cars on iRacing, you absolutely want to get in amongst this, because this is not only some of the best racing that you're going to find in these cars anywhere, it's also just a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is fantastic, isn't it? It's some great stuff, some great racing, and that has been put on display this evening. It is fantastic series. And everyone that's organised and come together to make this work has just, look, I'm very glad that I get to sit here with you, Jared, and talk about it on a Friday night, because there's nowhere else I'd really rather be on the Friday night. I'm sure my girlfriend who's watching probably won't be too glad to hear that statement come out of my mouth, but really, old gen supercars, great racing, classic Australian circuits. What else would you rather be doing on a Friday night, let's be honest?
Yeah, look, honestly, it's certainly a much cheaper option than going out anywhere these days, isn't it?
It certainly is.
I'm far too old to be thinking about going clubbing. So am I, mate. You get to 25, it's too old. As a very brief side note, I had to walk through Fortitude Valley for a work event on Wednesday night, and I'm not convinced it's changed since I used to go out there in my 20s, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on much at all.
No, you wouldn't be. It's not my cup of tea, that's for sure. And I use the excuse I'm 25 now. I'm way too old. That was a nice little battle there between Loveridge and Mayer that was going on for the last spot in the top 10. Loveridge desperate to try and get into this top 10 if he can. He's actually lost a handful of spots. They're both down 4 in this race now. Alessi and Deere battling for 14th and 15th on the road. Loxton and Gilbert are actually falling away from Poynton again now at the front of this field. So their battling is costing them a little bit of time, and Mark Poynton will be loving that, because the longer this goes on, the less time he has to try and worry about anyone catching him and battling for the lead of this race. He would be ecstatic if he just walked away from it at this point.
And mate, look, you think back to race 2, the massive effort that he put in, and then the very late mistake that led to him having to defend for 3/4 of that final lap from a very, very fast finishing 2 or 3 cars behind him. He will be absolutely stoked to get a win here tonight. I'm very much, again, I don't want to count our chickens or anything like that, but I'm very much looking forward to having a chat to him when we do our post-race interviews in, well, it'll be just about, I reckon, 7 or 8 minutes from now that the checkered flag will be waved here for the night at Winton. The sun is starting to set, and it's providing us with a very, very picturesque little race circuit for us to finish our night with.
Fantastic.
I
Again,
always
just
love
apply on the 4K, folks. If you're looking at this in 4K,
seriously,
it's
I don't set it
brilliant.
to YouTube at 4K so that people can not watch it in 4K, so make sure you take advantage of it for us, please. Otherwise, I feel like my bandwidth's being wasted.
Yeah, and it's I'm just having a quick look, and yeah, I can confirm it does look fantastic in 4K. So if you're not watching it in 4K, you absolutely should be. Or at least in, as I said, in HD 1080p, because look, you're doing yourself a disservice. But yeah, the sun is setting here. It's Dan Stevens inside the top 10. This is a good run for Dan Stevens to get a top 10 result. Matt Mellor, there was a couple of Matt Mellor supporters in the chat earlier hoping for a top 10. It has not been a good night for him, unfortunately, down in 24th after starting in 17th in this one. So he's dropped a fair way down, which, again, a difficult night. A couple early incidents for drivers. Gavin Cox has come back to 20th after that early contact, which is good to see. But still a difficult night for Gavin as well. Difficult in race 1. Sorry, good, not too bad actually in race 1. Race 2 and race 3 have been quite difficult for him. This battle's not done yet though. This is Mayer and Loveridge for the last spot in the top 10. Henry King's actually not too far away from inserting himself into this battle. So top 10 maybe on the cards. Don't want to jinx it for him, but top 10 could be on the cards here for Henry King.
Yeah, and it's been a much better drive for him in this final race than it has been in the opening two. So he's going to be feeling at least a little bit better, I suppose, about his drive so far. He's up 12 since the start of this race, but it's not been a wonderful night for him. And look, Winton is one of those tracks that can do that to you, right? You can come here with all of the best of intentions, but it's a sort of circuit that just, when it bites so hard. And it really wipes you out. As you see Bray Loveridge just avoid going around there. We're getting late into this final race here tonight, and I suspect these tyres are starting to really feel it. You're seeing cars wiggling around all over the place, under power, under brakes, and yeah, it's starting to get to the stage where the drivers are going to have to be really careful not to overdo it, because they've done a lot of work to get to where they are right now. They don't want to throw it away at this late stage. It's been another fantastic night of racing though, and I think the only... Oh, now that's interesting. Mark Boyd's just picked up a slowdown coming out of the chicane. How much is this going to cost him? Look at Gilbert closing the gap here. Something's happened, incidentally, to Loxton, who's dropped right off the back. That's carved, what, 1.2 out of his lead over Gilbert, so he won't be particularly happy with that. He'll be happy to still have a lead up his sleeve, but it's nowhere near the comfortable lead that he's been building over the past, well, 17 odd laps. It's still a lot closer than he'd like with 3 laps and change to go at this stage. But confident that he can bring it home. He just needs to keep his head on and just keep looking ahead and not spend too much time looking backwards at Gilbert and Loxton, who are still floating around back there. This little trio is still going on at the end of the top 10. Mayer, Loveridge and King all very close together. G'day, Loza. Welcome on in. Brisbane local here myself, actually, so good to have another one of us out there in the chat. Not like these Southerners, Isaac.
I'm in the middle. I'm in New South Wales. I'm not Victoria. I'm not that south. So I'm the.
It's all south from here, mate.
Yeah. Well, when you're at the top of the country, I guess it all is south.
Top of the country in every way. That's
except
what
for state of origin.
Mate. Oh, where's that mute button? I can shut him off right now, folks. Robbie Bradley holding off Dan Stevens and Colin Bruns just inside the top 10. So a little trio going on here, and behind them, the battle we've just been watching. Henry King not looking too keen on pushing much harder at this stage, and I don't blame him after the night that he's had. But Richard Mayer and Bray Loveridge still going at it. There's a lot of pace in this field. Keep your eye on that timing tower, folks. Gilbert is slowly but surely chipping away the 10th to Mark Poynton. There's still over a second in it for the moment. But Poynton's going to be working very, very hard to keep that away. And indeed, it's just dropped to under a second now. So Poynton just not quite getting the car out of the corner.
Yeah, and it was 1.1 second gain on the last lap for Aaron Gilbert. So that was a lot of time that he lost on the slowdown. This is Loveridge and Mayer. Lock up for Mayer. Loveridge has had to go the long way around. That could open the door for Henry King. This is on the run down towards turn 10. Out of the S's, the fast, long sweeping right and left handers now through the down Falcon Straight towards the penultimate corner, turn 11, deep under braces. Henry King is going to have to go the long way around. Defensive now for Loveridge. This is not what he wanted to have to do. He was hoping to just stay on the attack and not worry about anybody behind, but the amount of time it's taken him to try and find a way past Mayer. King is now caught up and inserting himself. Look at Phil Manuel in the background, only 2 seconds away as well. If these guys battle much heavier, he could catch very quickly, it can change the complexion. He was a second quicker on the previous lap than all those cars in front of him. Look at Aaron Gilbert. He is lifting. The last lap was 4/10 quicker than Mark Poynton. He is gaining slowly but surely. There is 2 laps to go. Poynton just wants to see that white flag. If he can see that white flag, a little lock up there for Gilbert, he knows that he can hopefully hold on. I've said it before this evening, I'll say it again. Track position is key here. If you are in front, you hold all the cards. You have to make your opponent behind work, and at Winton, with the nature of this circuit, you have to work overtime to create overtaking opportunities. So this will be a difficult pass for Gilbert if he can pull it off. However, he is still a second away with a lap and a little bit to go. So this should, provided he makes no major mistakes from here, go the way of Mark Poynton as he receives the white flag.
Loxton's overcooked the rears. You saw him slide it out of the final turn. He's not going to feature in this battle unless there's a pretty significant mistake from one of the front two. So the question will be, do we have our podium order already set here, or is there going to be anything that anyone can do on this final lap to stop Mark Poynton or to mix this order up? I don't think there'll be much, but Gilbert's giving it absolutely everything he's got. It's down to 8/10 again. Mark Poynton is just holding on at the moment. Brett Loxton, another, well, almost 2 seconds back now, so he's well and truly out of it. We do need to keep an eye on Brody McConkie and Michael Hammond behind, because they're going at it for one extra spot. McConkie is all over the back of Hammond's Holden, and it could turn to tears again. Look, I don't know. Is McConkie willing to roll the dice again here, or is he just going to have to settle for fifth? Hammond defending hard now, holds it to the inside of the circuit, and really going to make this very difficult around the last couple of corners. But the night here belongs to Mark Poynton, a phenomenal no-stop drive in race 2, and he's taken it all the way here in race number 3. As he rounds the final corner, he'll come across the line, and that'll be the win in the final race. The checkered flag for Mark Poynton, Gilbert behind, and Loxton comes through. Hammond will come through in 4th with just a slight gap back to McConkie, and then daylight back to Costa Texera in 6th, who will cross the line all on his own. A little bit of a moment out of the final corner, almost opened the door for Dan Stevens, but Robbie Bradbury will hold on to 7th ahead of Stevens and Bruns. And then Bray Loveridge has managed to hold off Henry King. Nothing in it though for Bradbury and Stevens, only 0.14 across the line for these guys. But Mark Poynton, geez, what a drive that has been. He'll be so glad to have seen that early battle and give him the lead for really about 3/4 of this race, and that has been instrumental in giving him just that little bit of headroom to not kill the tyres and to what on earth is going on in the back? Oh, these guys are heading for the skid pan.
They are heading for the skid pan. They want to get some burnouts in, and rightly so. They have worked very hard this evening, and look at them go all the way over to the burnout zone. I'm surprised we don't actually see our good friends Mark Poynton going over to celebrate that burnout, because
I think he's
done fantastic.
He's probably feeling pretty cooked after defending for that long.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. He has done a very good job to come home with that victory, and I'm sure we'll get to chat to him shortly, potentially. But yeah, it's what a fantastic result for my point. Look at the burnouts on the skid pan from these boys. They are doing fantastic work. Nathan Allen and Isaac Edwards, please take notes. This is what a burnout should look like, fellas. Mark Poynton comes home with the victory. Just under a second to Aaron Gilbert. He held on by the skin of his teeth at the end of the day. Brett Loxton will come home in 3rd after a pretty good night on the tools for the HJR driver. Michael Hammond's home in position number 4, a race win for him in race number 2 as well. Brody McConkie fights back after a difficult race number 1 to finish well in races 2 and 3, finishes 5th. Miguel Costa Texera home in 6th. Robbie Bradbury 7th. Dan Stevens in the 10, as well as Colin Bruns, and Richard Mayer holds on over Bray Loveridge and Henry King to bring that car home inside the top 10. Henry King, a great job to come back to 12th after a difficult race number 2. Phil Manuel, Matthew Deere, James Clark inside the top 15. Dean Alesi, Jason Merrifield, Gavin Cox, Matthew Day, John Holton. Your top 20 for that one. A little bit further was Matt Mellor, a difficult race for him. Scott Watts, Brad Hayes 2 laps down in the end, and John Simpson not featuring tonight, unfortunately, after a couple of issues. Saw him have to step out early on. But wow, what a brilliant evening once again here at Legacy Australia Racing Championship. It's fantastic stuff, these guys. They always deliver, don't they, Jared?
Yeah, absolutely every time. And look, I almost don't want to cut away here as we see Costa Texera finish up everything he had left in those tyres. Absolutely nothing left to give from those. We're just waiting on a few of the drivers to make their way into the green room, but I think given that we've got him here already, we should probably jump straight into it. And welcome to the booth. It is, of course, Mark Boynton. G'day, Mark.
Hey, Jared, how are you?
Mate, doing very, very well. Congratulations on the result this evening. It really never looked in doubt there with the final race, but geez, race 2 was a lot of work for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, race 2 was tough. It was going to be tight on fuel, and I knew that if I could fuel save, I wouldn't have to come in. That would save me time. But yeah, that was. I don't think I've ever used the clutch that much in my life. That was a tough race.
I've got to ask, how much did you actually have left in the tank when you came across the line in race 2?
Not a lot. I did better than I thought. There was about probably, I think when I crossed from memory, there was around like 0.4 of a lap left. So I fuel saved reasonably well. I did have a little bit in reserve just in case I had to fight for a position.
Well, mate, I was absolutely expecting you to be coughing and spluttering across the line. So it was good to see you get home, and despite that very, very late minor misstep, managed to hold on to it and bring home a second there. But then to take the win from start to finish here tonight, mate, a very, very well-deserved set of points here from Winton this evening. And I don't think there's much more to say than that, mate. Well done. A massive thank you for coming to have a chat to us afterwards. Before we let you go, as always, anyone you want to say hello to at home?
Mate, look, well, first of all, if wife and kids, better say hello to them, and thank you for letting me have a Friday night off to go racing.
Thank you, Point and family. Appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly. But no, look, you guys for your time to take the time out to do the broadcasts. They're always top notch. So you guys do a fantastic job in commentary. Race Control have done a brilliant job all season. So look forward to more races to come. And then from a team perspective, just thank Juiced Energy and Stodhor for their support.
As always, an absolute pleasure to welcome you to the booth. Hopefully we get to do it again a couple more times before the LARC season is over, but we'll let you go and start to unwind for your weekend, hey?
No worries at all. Thank you, guys.
Congrats again. Mark Boynton there takes the win in the final race tonight, and we are joined now by the second man on the podium in race 3, but certainly featured right throughout this evening's events. It is, of course, Aaron Gilbert. G'day, mate.
How you going?
Mate, doing very well. A close one in the end. You almost got back there, but Boynton just held in and managed to keep you all at bay. A brilliant start from you, though. Absolutely rocketed off the line. Was that something you'd been putting a bit of practice into, or just saw the gap between the two ahead of you and took it?
Well, I needed to redeem myself from race 1 because I had a shocker, and there was like the tiniest gap, so I just drove it through it, and I hope the other two on the other side of me just held their car straight, which they did, which I was fortunate. But it was exciting start.
It was a good one to watch. We were kind of wondering whether we were going to see anyone fail to launch a little bit, and mate, in the end you got pretty lucky. Talk to us about the night overall. Winton is always a tough track in any car. It's tight. It's a lot of wheel work, but especially in a supercar, trying to keep it straight around this place is hard going. How did you find the night of racing overall?
Well, first race not too bad. Second race definitely a challenge, because there's so many cars everywhere. Obviously, reverse grid started at the back on that one, and I think I copped a penalty just from congestion of cars blocking each other, which made it really difficult to race that second one. But it's part of the course of the challenge. That third one, it was a good race. It sort of struggled a little bit in the middle for tyre grip and life. Just burnt the tyres up, being stuck behind people early on there. But all in all, it's been a pretty good night, really.
Mate, yeah, can't complain. Some good results for you in the end, and some nice points towards your overall championship chase. Great fun for us to watch. It's been a cracker of a night. We've barely had a chance to go back and look at anything because there's just been so much action at all times on track. So really appreciate you putting on a fantastic show along with all the other drivers out there tonight, and of course having a chat to us afterwards, mate. Before we let you go, as always, if there's anyone you want to say hello to, now would be a great time to do so.
Just want to thank the HR team, our sponsor Jinx Shifters, and plethora of other little sponsorships we got on the car there. Couldn't really, like, we've had Jinx on the car for 6 years now, and he's been really great to work with, so it's been a privilege. And yeah, that's about it there.
Mate, great to have you along. Thanks so much for your time. We'll let you go and unwind, enjoy a beverage of choice, and get your weekend started, hey?
Cheers, thank you very much, guys.
Aaron Gilbert there takes out P2 in the final race this evening, and that'll just about wrap us up for this evening, won't it, Izo?
Certainly will, and I was hoping we get to have a chat to our good mate Brett Loxton as well, but I think, look, everyone's a bit exhausted after that 200 Ks of racing. We said at the top of the evening, it's 200 Ks, it was going to feel like a lot more than that, and you can tell just the interviews that we've done with both Aaron and Mark there, they are shattered, and I do not blame them. As Mark said, a lot of fuel saving in that race. He didn't think he'd press the clutch as much before in his life, and that was just to try and clutch in the car in the mid-corner, save the fuel. So he's done a very good job to get that car home. It was, look, a great evening of racing, and it concludes the first of the Australian legs here at LARC, and in, well, what is it, 3 weeks time we're going to jump over to the other side of the world, really, and go to the Circuit of the Americas and run the NASCAR layout. This is redemption for Nathan Allen and his burnout that he did do on the skid pan. It's nice to see it finally make its way onto the screen, and I'm sure he'll feel a little bit justified in the fact that he'll feel a little bit justified and vindicated in the fact that that's finally made it on the screen. And look, that's a much better burnout than what we saw earlier. This is just Isaac Edwards clutching in and holding it and doing a little bit of a skid on with the brake on, but nevertheless, much better than what we saw earlier from these guys. But look, I absolutely enjoyed the action this evening, Jared. It was fantastic from start to finish. It always is here at LARC, and if that's what we've seen at Oran Park, Winton, and we go to Coda next, where the track limits are optional, I cannot wait to see what this NASCAR layout at Circuit of the Americas is going to do for this series.
Coda is always an absolute event. There's no two ways about it. It wasn't that long ago that we were seeing the Gen 3 supercars around it with Alliance Sim Racing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in these legacy supercars. But there's lots of racing still to come between now and then. Of course, Monday nights, the Trans Am Series, supported by Domains to You and running with MC Motorsport. Then, of course, Tuesday nights, the Gen 3 supercars with Alliance Sim Racing and Solar Guard. And, of course, to finish off the week next week will be Wednesday night, the MC GT3s, supported by Easy Motor Spares. A massive thank you, though, especially to the new sponsors coming on board here with LARC from this round, Press Tools Australia and Jinx Shifters, supporting it and making it all possible. And it's not an easy thing for leagues and organisers to put on without the support of the amazing sponsors that do put the hand in the pocket and help to cover the costs of running these leagues, and we very much appreciate it. It couldn't happen without it, and without the sponsorship we wouldn't get to watch the scenes that we have tonight. So a huge thank you as always to everyone who's decided to sponsor a league or a team or whatever it may be, and make it all just a little bit easier to have it all happen. A huge thank you from us to, of course, everyone watching at home. It doesn't happen without an audience, and you guys coming along makes all the difference for us here at Simple and for everyone in the league. So a huge shout out to everyone. Do make sure you enjoy your weekends. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. If you haven't already subscribed to Simple Racing Broadcast, please consider doing so because it does help us reach more people. Until next time, though, from Isaac Fogarty, myself, Jared Cole, here in the booth, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you more amazing racing action. We're going to wrap it up here for this evening. It is goodbye for now.